Welcome everybody to the season finale of Star Lordess podcast. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I see my sister Ninja is in the chat, as well as I'm hungry now, best mods in the business. Hello Teresa. Hello Nina. You made it. Did you set your alarm? Yes, Ninja is dancing because she's getting ready to retire. She's been looking forward to this for a very long time. Oh, I'm gonna have to call you, well, FaceTime you on your very last day so I can congratulate you one last time seeing you in the office. It's going to be absolutely, absolutely awesome. So can't wait for that. Lots of exciting things coming up. Okay, CC is also in the audience. No way, Marky Mark. Yes, we do have an incredible guest coming on to the podcast tonight. He's been on the podcast, as a matter of fact. He was my very first guest on the podcast. And hi, Efren. And let me welcome now, he is in the waiting room. Marky Mark is well known as a tarot reader, as well as a phenomenal medium. And he's coming to us live from Bermuda right now. So everybody, welcome. Welcome, Mark. And
Yo,
here
yo,
he
yo.
is.
How y'all doing?
I'm doing great tonight. How about you?
Good. It's been a great weekend.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Good. A lot of cooking. A lot of good stuff going on.
Yes, a lot of cooking, and all my sports teams won, so all's good.
Sweet, sweet. Yeah, we've got a lot of people here gathering in the audience. We have, of course, Ninja and Efren and Nina, CC, CC99.
Yes. Hi, Ninja, Tony, Star. I hope you guys are all doing good. Marley,
Yes.
Efren. I see the whole crew is here.
Who's CC99?
I think they're talking about the original Marky Mark from the Funky Bucks, not
Me.
me.
I can see where there could be some
I'm not
confusion.
him. Yeah. Sorry to disappoint you. I'm not that famous.
Oh my goodness. But you're even better. You're the fun Marky Mark.
I'm that guy.
So
But I do like the original Marky Mark too. Yeah.
yeah, we all like Marky Mark. He's brilliant. I think he's my favorite of his is the movie Ted, the Ted movies. I love
Yes,
it.
yeah, I remember that. He's hilarious.
Have you caught the new show, Ted? I love it.
No, I haven't. No.
It's pretty funny. I mean, he's not in it, but
Yeah.
no. CC99 said, "Kidding around."
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, what's the weather like in Bermuda?
Right now it's in the late 60s. It was like 65. It's been nice and cool. Nice
Ah,
northern breeze, cloudy. It's been nice. The moon has been amazing. Like for 4 days straight, it's been like on the full moon, it was bright white.
right.
And then the last 2 days, it's been yellowish. I don't know if you've seen that or if it's like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I have noticed that. The moon's
Yeah,
been putting on quite the show in the last couple of
yeah,
months, that's for sure, right?
it
But yeah,
has.
I guess it's not quite Bermuda shorts weather just yet, but we're getting
Not
there.
yet. I almost packed all my winter clothes up, but I had to put on the long pants today.
Yeah. Oh, welcome Ruth and Susan. Susan, you know what? Your package is lost in the ethers here. I'm sure it will eventually get here. Why it was stuck in Hackensack, New Jersey for so long, I'll never know. But anyway, I was hoping it would be here this week so, I could unveil it on the podcast, but it didn't work out that way. And another thing I would have loved to have unveiled on the podcast is I'm hitting another milestone. I need one more subscriber to hit 65,000 subscribers.
Oh, come on, guys! You got to give
So,
her another.
right,
I
right.
It'll happen. It'll be fine.
Exactly. It's just
You'll
one
get it.
more. It'll probably happen during the podcast.
Oh,
If
I'm sure
any
it
of you
will.
out there, if any of you out there have not subscribed to the channel, please do so right now so we can all watch that turnover. It's just one. It's
Yeah.
999.
All we need is
Just one
one.
more
Yes.
subby. One more subby, and we're good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so what did you do today? Did you do some work or you just chilled?
No, I every Sunday I pretty much go to my parents' house for lunch every
Oh,
Sunday, hang out with them. You know, I'm fortunate enough to have them, you know,
yeah,
still alive and well, which is
for
great.
sure.
And we had you know, lunch, and then after that, we my dad and I watched some soccer and stuff on TV, and watched our team and stuff, and then I had dinner with my nephews and my sister.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
it's
a
been
good day. That's a
family
good day,
filled
right?
Sunday. Yeah, it's a good day.
That's
Yeah,
a good day for sure.
I know what.
I'm glad you keep up that tradition. That's so
Yeah,
important.
definitely. Family is important, you know.
Mhm.
Everybody always tells me that everybody who doesn't have their parents anymore, they
Right.
always tell me to cherish those moments, you know.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
you know,
Uh,
even if it's not, you know, you know, brothers, sisters, whoever, you know, aunts, uncles.
yeah.
My family's big, but you know,
Mhm.
a lot of my aunties and uncles are, you know, they're
Yeah.
going now.
Mhm.
They're getting to their age where, you know, it's life, you know. But that's the good thing about having them in spirit, because you never really lose them completely, you know.
True. That's
You
a
lose
good
them
point.
in a physical form, and but the spiritual
Absolutely.
form is always there, you know.
Absolutely. They just transition from non-physical or from physical to non-physical, but they're never really
Absolutely.
gone. It's just that
No,
you know,
yeah, I
uh,
agree. That's
we
the
uh, we miss them because they're not here in physical form. We can't talk to them and about every day. I mean, although you can talk to them in
yeah,
spirit, but it's just
yeah,
that you want to hear their voice and see their
right.
face and those
Yeah,
kind.
their physical presence. Yeah, it's not the same, but
Mhm.
you know, they're always there, whether we believe that or not. You know, a lot of
True.
people think that you know, it's not possible, but thank God I can tap
Mhm.
into some of them, and give people
Absolutely.
clarity and stuff. So I'm very fortunate to
Do you
have the gift to
do you
deal with that. You know.
do you have any grandparents left, or are your grandparents all gone?
No, my grandparents are all gone as well. My actually the weirdest thing with my grandfathers is my mom was 5 months pregnant with me, and
Mm.
my dad's dad passed away at 62. He passed away of liver cancer. And when I was born, 9 months later, my mom had to leave Bermuda and go to Portugal because her dad was on his deathbed, and I was the last person that he saw when he
Wow.
passed away. So I
Mm.
don't remember that at 9 months, but I got visuals of that afterwards. You know,
Right.
when I
Do
became a
you
medium and
do you
stuff.
feel connected, like, spiritually to that grandparent?
I mean, not really, because I've never really met them. Like, but
Mm.
I mean, I've had other mediums tell me that they're around. But
Mhm.
the person that's around me majority of the time is my uncle. He's my godfather and my uncle, and I've seen him like tons of times.
Mm.
He was like my second dad type of person, you know.
Mm.
So he's always around. I can actually smell his old stench off his body, like, you know, his odor, you know,
Yeah.
and like should have said stench, but you know,
I
his
know, right?
odor.
It makes it
Yeah, you know,
makes it
his
sound like
odor.
body odors, but I know
Yeah,
what you
his
mean. It's just
body odor. Yeah, you know
yeah,
how old people, like, they just don't
yeah.
use
Old
deodorant
people
anymore.
smell, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, okay. So yeah, I
Right.
can smell him every now and then, so I know he's here. But the smelling of spirits, it will always be around, you know, because a lot of people say they smell certain people's perfume
I
or their,
that
you
happened
know,
to me.
their,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So if you can do that, you know, you qualify as a person who can feel, see, smell, hear, taste, and all that. And as you know, you qualify as somewhat of a medium to a
Right.
certain extent. Or to me, it's really just them saying, "Hey, I'm here." You know,
Yeah,
you don't really
sometimes
have to
it's
be a
too
medium; you just get to seek the sign. You know.
exactly, sometimes it's too intense to ignore because they're right there. I remember when my uncle passed away and he wore this certain cologne, and I was going up the stairs of my house one time, and I could smell that cologne, like, super strong after he had passed, and I
Yeah.
was, "Whoa, okay, this
Right.
is a sign, you know? Hi
Right.
there, Uncle." Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's exactly how it goes. It's just their way of saying, hey, you acknowledge me, you thought about me, things like that.
Mhm.
And everybody has that ability to
I
like
agree.
say, holy shit, what just happened here? Like I can smell
Right.
so and so, or I can feel so and so, or I can
Yeah.
hear something, or
Yeah,
and
exactly.
things get moved in your home, and you're like, well, how the heck did that happen?
Right.
It's their
Yeah.
way of saying, hey, I'm here, you could talk to me, or I'm glad you acknowledge me. I heard you talk
Right.
about me, or on their birthday or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
absolutely. We
it's
talked about
crazy. Yeah.
when we spoke last a few days ago, you had mentioned that there were some things like before we get into the topic of the night. You had mentioned that there were some things that you had written down that you wanted to
Right.
discuss.
hmm
Okay, should we just go ahead and do that now? Maybe.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wrote down a few things,
Okay.
spirit, synchronicities, and the
Oh,
ocean. The ocean, what's really in there? What's really, is mermaids really a myth?
oh,
Is
right.
all these spiritual things actually real or not real?
Hmm.
And can salt water, going into the salt water, really heal you and give you a sense of, the ocean is really an amazing, thing we have on Earth. But I think a lot of people neglect it, and
Oh,
say, "Oh,
right.
well, I'm scared of it," or
Or
certain
just
things
use
like
it.
that.
They
Right,
use it for their own needs or what have you.
right,
Yeah, I agree.
exactly.
I have a
Yeah,
lot of respect for the ocean and for
hmm
every large, like rivers and lakes as well too, and springs,
yeah,
because they do have their own energy for sure. And I
yep,
do believe the healing abilities of the ocean. That salt water, let me tell you, is really
yeah,
good for a lot of things. A lot of
absolutely.
things.
Yeah,
When I first had gone to Portugal years back, and I had a lot of arthritis because of the dampness there, right?
hmm
And I remember Tony's mom saying to me, just go to the beach because the beach was like right there. Just put your hip, which is where the source of pain was, put it into the sand right by the ocean and just lay there. Like read your book for an hour or so. And then you
yeah,
let me know how you feel afterwards. And let me tell you, it
yeah.
actually worked. I thought it was
It
a
was
silly
right,
thing, but it's
right.
like, wow, there's and because the salt water that comes up on the sand, right?
hmm
And then sand itself is also a healing
Yeah,
component too.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah, all
so
earthly things like sand, soil, grass, the ocean.
absolutely.
These are all things that are free
Mm,
for us to heal ourselves,
right.
and people just think that, oh yeah, I'm gonna take some, pills or something like that.
Mhm.
But we don't that's the biggest conspiracy theory for me is, do we really need painkillers? Do we really need pills? Do we really need, medication? Or is everything right there in front of your eyes? You
Well,
know?
I think that a lot of it is because if you think back in the day
Mhm.
before there were pharmacies and doctors and all of that
Yeah,
stuff, how
exactly.
were people healing themselves? It was
Right.
naturally. They found plants,
Exactly.
and it was through trial and error that they
hmm
found the things that worked and the things that didn't.
Yep.
And so that's how they learned. And then they took their knowledge and passed it down to the next generation and so on and so on. The whole thing with doctors and pharmaceuticals and all that, so that came much later, and
Right.
put it in pill form. I do understand that sometimes these things are necessary. And I've used painkillers myself because when you're in
Right.
extreme pain, sometimes that's the only thing you can use in that moment. It depends if something really drastic has happened to you. So these things I
Exactly.
do have, I believe they do have their place, but
hmm
in terms of a lot of the things that go wrong with the human body, there's a lot of natural ways we can heal them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that totally.
So I feel like the ocean heals everyone. If you really went swimming every day
Mhm.
and you really soaked yourself in that salt water naturally every day, because if it can breathe life,
True,
then
good point.
something's going on there. And so
Absolutely.
that's the thing. And we eat what's in the ocean. So I
True too.
feel like eating those things from the ocean also is better for us and heals us too. You know?
As people like Tony and myself, well, because you're on our Instagram and everything, we eat a lot of seafood, and
Yes.
um, I find that I mean, we talk about this often, when after we eat seafood, the buzz you get afterwards, it's like you're buzzy, your body is
Yeah,
buzzing. You can
right.
feel the nutrients, you can feel the protein, and again, these things are coming from the ocean. So,
Yeah, exactly.
again, that tells you something, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I just think that there's I've always said there's more ocean than there is land. There's more water than there is land, and we can see it as we get on a plane and we put the shade up and we look
Mm,
down and all we see is blue. All we see is blue all around us.
yeah,
So it's like you go for so long and it's nothing but ocean before you have to get to land.
mhm. Yeah,
And
it's
if it was easy enough, then we would all be interconnected. We need a plane.
right.
So that should tell you how big the Earth is and how much water there is, and that's why I feel that
Exactly.
it's an important
And
thing.
when you think of it, we as humans, we are mostly water. We
Yeah,
are mostly our
exactly.
bodies are comprised of water
Right. They
comprised of
say God
water,
is
so
water. Yeah.
yeah, and, I don't know, it makes me wonder, it goes back to what you originally said about the mermaids and things living
Hmm.
in the sea.
Yeah.
Maybe we were all mermaids and mermen back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Maybe
might have been in my past life. I have to check.
I'll have to check. Yeah, you'll have
Yeah.
to put yourself under.
Yeah, because I really love the ocean and I
Oh,
love
I do
swimming
too.
and I'm always in my pool. And before I had the pool,
Mhm.
I live. My mom and dad, they live pretty much like if you walk 5 minutes, it's right there. Like the
Right,
ocean's right there. And we used to go like swim and jump off the rocks and we used to
uh-huh,
fish and
right.
and back then they were saying, oh well, the fish, everybody's gonna fish out the ocean and we're not
Yeah,
gonna have any
I
fish to eat.
remember that.
That's
Mhm.
all BS. And
Yeah.
I can't stand when people say that here in Bermuda as well. They did that with the lobsters here. They
Mhm.
said over the fishermen are overfishing the lobsters, we're never gonna have any left. And you know what? This year they said that and we had more lobsters this year than any other year.
Right?
So
Yeah.
God's saying, "Shut up, I
Yeah.
provide for you and just get over it." It's not you're
Exactly.
just jealous that I think the government is jealous and the government is weird and people are just jealous that these fishermen are making money off of what God has provided us, which is we
Probably.
all need food to eat. So we have to go get it some way somehow. And
Exactly.
the ocean just does that. And it's so much of the ocean. How can things not appear anymore? Like, are you really listening to yourself?
Yeah.
It's like the ocean's huge.
Well,
It's never going to go extinct, fish and things like that.
Nina asked in the chat, do you think it's a good or bad idea to give birth in the ocean? Because Nina is pregnant, so I guess these questions are coming up for her. And what do you
Um,
think,
un-
Mark?
Unless you're giving birth to a fish, then I would say go for it. But I mean, you can probably give birth in the ocean, and then I mean, because actually, at the end of the day, the baby's inside of you, so
Yeah.
he's in like pretty much water and blood and everything else.
True.
So
True. Yeah.
and when
Well,
I don't know, I've heard of people doing it, and I've never heard of a bad experience.
exactly. It's very much like a lot of mothers give birth in like a kiddie pool or something like that.
Yeah,
All natural.
I've heard of people doing it in a bathtub too.
In a bathtub as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know a few people that's done that, and a lot of people do that so they could save a couple $1,000s as well. Because when they go to the hospital, they got to pay for that. So it's like a free
Well,
birth.
I would think if you do it in a bathtub or in a pool or something like that, you could add some Epsom salts or some salts to it, and it'll be
Absolutely.
sort of like
Yeah.
the ocean, right? It would
Well,
have this. That stuff is so good for you. Like every time I take a bath, I always use Epsom salts,
yeah.
and
Same
wow,
here.
just
Yeah.
it's so nice. Even soaking your feet in it, it's
Yeah.
just incredible. You do feel invigorated, and
Yeah. When you get sick, that's the best thing to do is take Epsom salt baths every day.
right,
Or
yeah,
every other day.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things out there in nature, even plants and so forth, that we can take
Hmm.
and to help improve our health on an everyday
Yeah.
level.
Even
Or
the sun, like how people say the sun, is bad for you and this and that.
Mhm,
If the sun was bad for you, then why does it grow things?
right?
It grows trees and flowers, and we need the sun to grow the grass and grow things like and it's we need sun, we need everything.
Yeah.
Even the moonlight at night does its job.
Mhm.
So people, I think people just say things to worry everybody and just like to make everybody, question.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear
Oh,
mongering out there. People
yeah,
just it'll make your head spin if you listen to every single thing they say. One day, this is good for you, salt's good for you,
right.
and like salt's bad for you, and then this is good for you, and then that's not. It'll make your head spin if you start listening to
Yeah.
all the
And
time.
that's where it goes to this, what I always say: if you believe it, then you'll receive it. So if you believe a
True,
lie, you're going to receive the lie. You know.
exactly. And there's been countless stories of people who have healed themselves by using nothing but, natural homeopathy and things like
Yeah.
cured themselves from serious diseases and things like
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
there,
definitely. I believe that that's one of the biggest conspiracies: is do you really need this and do you really
yeah,
need that to heal yourself?
yeah.
And I feel like you don't. I feel like you can heal yourself with
Well,
natural things or without any form of medication. You can
well,
get to that point.
there's definitely that. I mean, Tony and I for years have gone for these foot detox. Have you
Yeah,
ever done that?
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
you know what? They're amazing. And we have done that for years now. We go once or twice a year. In the beginning, we did, because the regimen is you're supposed to go like, 3, 4 times at first when you've never done it before, but in intervals. And then after that, you just need to go for maintenance. And we did that. And for
yeah,
now 10 years, over 10 years, we've been going once or twice a year. And it just helps to clear all of the toxins out of the body. And it's a very simple procedure. You sit there for a half an hour
yeah,
and it's very cost effective. And
yeah,
I've seen it work like pretty incredible things for people.
yeah. Even
Including ourselves. Like, Tony
yeah,
was not doing well years ago. His skin was changing colors, something was going on with him, and it was those detox that helped his color come back to normal and everything.
exactly. Yeah,
So, there's
because
something to be said with
yeah,
these.
a lot of people don't want to put in that half an hour, and they even walking for a half an hour every day
Mhm. Yeah.
is good for you, because people think, oh well, I work every day, I work 9 hours a day or 8 hours a day, that's good enough, I'm
Mhm.
walking all day. But that's different. You're stopping and starting. And I
And,
find that when I walk along the beach or I walk
mhm,
outside barefooted, even on the concrete and even on like the driveway or the concrete or even on the grass,
mhm.
I come back and I feel just so much different if I feel kind of weird. Or
Mhm.
another thing,
But it's
besides the like,
not just the walking. When you're outside, you're also getting fresh air and sunshine and
exactly.
everything else, right?
Yeah, you're naturally getting everything you need,
Mhm.
and that's the best part of it. Is knowing that you can go outside anytime you want
Yeah.
and do what you have to do.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And but like we live in a resort town, and so there's a beach like right by us too. Like you are in
Yeah,
that position as well. And in the summer, there's a path there we walk, and it's amazing. Like you come back almost transformed, right? After
yeah,
because first of all, the water and the wave crashing is very peaceful, and it helps
yeah.
you. I think just look at the big wide world out there, and it makes your
Right.
problem seem so much smaller compared to the universe. Like, it puts things
Yeah,
in perspective, do you think?
right. And every day it looks different because you look at the sky.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's clouds, planes, birds, and there's been a lot of birds lately. If you look at my last 3 lives, you can hear a red bird like whistling at the top of his lungs. And right before I came live, there was a red bird outside singing again. So
Okay.
like all those things are like a refreshing feeling to say, you
Right.
know what? The birds are singing, it's like it's great, it's nice and
And you're
cool
absolutely
outside.
right. No matter
Yeah.
how many times we walk by the water looks different every single day.
Every day. Yep.
Pictures of there's some days where it's really calm and other days
Hmm.
where the waves are crashing, other
Yep.
days where it's a little foggy, and then some
Yeah.
days
Even the smell of
yeah,
the ocean is different.
absolutely, yeah,
There's some days where I can smell the ocean, and
yeah,
there's some days I can't.
yeah,
And then there's some days I can smell the fresh cut grass, and
right,
there's some days I can smell the cedar tree I have outside. And then it's just, being outside, I think, heals us
absolutely.
more than anything,
Yeah,
and,
and
and
I
that's the
agree,
best medicine for us.
And the more you can be in the moment, the more you can appreciate these things. Like if you're living in the moment at the time you're taking this walk and you're noticing everything and you're not in your head about your problems, you're just noticing the sky and the clouds and
Right.
or you're
Especially
looking
the last at night during the last few days when I take my dog for her nightly walk. I look at the moon and I'm like, look at that. That looks so crazy. Like it's huge and it's yellow now
yeah.
and it's hiding behind the clouds like you see in the movies, you know?
Right. Yeah,
And
exactly.
it always reminds me of the Scooby Doo cartoon when you see the moon come up in the clouds and you know it's all like supposed to be spooky. I always remember that scene like when I was young. And when I look out there, I'm like, yeah, that's happening right outside, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Ninja says the chickens too. Yeah, the chickens have been we have a lot of like wild chickens around here and roosters, and
Mm,
I feel bad for them because they don't really have nothing to eat. So I give them like leftover bread or leftover food. I'll just
right.
go down the hill and just throw it, and they'll just come running. They already know me now. They see me coming. They're like, "Yes, this guy gives me food," you know. And
Yeah.
just doing that, really, like feeding wild animals and just having pets and feeding animals, you're doing like a good thing. You know, it's to me, it's
Mm,
like you're taking care of, you know, something that doesn't even belong to you, but you're
right.
taking care of it, and you feel like you've accomplished something.
Exactly.
Even like an accomplishment of doing something
Yeah.
little like that makes you
Yeah.
feel healed. And you feel better,
Yeah.
you know.
There's something so natural about doing
Yeah.
these things, right? Yeah, it
And it's
sort of
so
takes
easy to
you back.
do, but people just like, no, I don't feel like it. You know, I want to be home, you know,
It
and just do
but
nothing.
it takes you back to basics, doing
Yeah,
these things.
exactly.
Mm.
But it's living here. I can definitely you know say that it's different than a lot of other places. But
Right. Well,
we're surrounded by the ocean, so it's like I have no choice but to see the ocean every day. You know, it's
right.
no. As soon
Oh,
as I
that's
open
the
up my
hardship.
as soon as as soon as I wake up, I open up my shutter and I
Right.
see the ocean,
Mhm.
every day.
Yeah.
That's just a normal thing. When I drive along the road, the ocean's right there, you know.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's the energy, and that's where I think I get the power from spirit a lot because when you're around natural things
Exactly. Yeah.
and Bermuda has a lot of crystal caves and
Mm.
things like that are natural power around us all the time. So I feel like we get a lot of power from that too. You know.
Exactly. Well, we're gonna start talking about some, fun conspiracy
Sure.
theories, stuff like that. But you had mentioned something when we were talking the other day about maybe start off with the conspiracy theory of when it comes to what we do, psychics and
Yeah.
card readers and all of that stuff. So a lot
Hmm.
of people think it's a bunch of hooey. They call it woo woo stuff and
Yes.
hooey, and it absolutely is not. And there's also a misconception here, and we get this all the time, of people thinking that what we're doing is going against religion, against God, and so forth.
Exactly.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. And I just hope, like most of you in the audience in the chat here, you understand what we do and you know that we're not doing
Hmm.
anything evil. I've mentioned it many
Right.
times on the podcast, so has Mark. This is just absolute nonsense and completely has no foundation. And it was like I was telling you the other day, like it's completely crazy that these people who believe in the biblical prophecies think
Hmm.
we are evil for
Right.
predicting the future. It's just
Exactly.
it makes no sense at all, right?
Majority of it is like I tell everybody there's good and bad in everything and everyone.
Yeah. Mhm.
And if you use your psychic abilities for popularity, these likes and these subscribes, and then like to make yourself look good and for
Right.
robbing people, obviously spirit's
Mhm.
gonna be like, wait a minute, we
Yeah.
gave you this damn gift and now you've abused it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now we're gonna pretty much take it away from you until you wake
Mhm.
up. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest issue in
Right.
the psychic world because unfortunately people use their gift in a bad way.
Mhm.
So it makes
Yeah.
everybody be questioned. We always have to suffer for the guilty.
Right.
So
That's
when
true.
somebody first comes in my room, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, this guy's full of BS. He doesn't.
Mhm.
He's joking around. He's talking about all sorts of crazy things. He's probably not even a medium, but let me try him out."
Yeah.
So then I feel like I'm always being, tested.
Tested.
by people, so, and I'm like, well, I can tell you're testing me, and I'm about
Mhm,
to, blow your brain out your ears with some mediumship that you probably never seen in your
mhm.
life. And to me, I love the test, and I love proving them wrong, or I love making them a believer.
Yes,
So it's
exactly.
really up to them how they perceive me after that,
Mhm,
and I don't care anyway, because I also
mhm,
feel that we
mhm.
all have certain amount of people that we can connect to. And I don't feel like, because even God Himself can't connect to every single person,
That's very true. That's very
because He gave us free will, right? So these people have free will to say, okay, well, Mark was good. We connected. I love him, and I'm going to go back to him. And I feel like, I've learned things from him. Then there's going to be another person that was like, well, okay, I got the mediumship reading. I'm good now. And I'm not
Mhm.
going back because that shit gave me the heebie jeebies.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm not
exactly.
going back. Like, I can't handle that stuff, or it's not for everybody.
Exactly, and I think us seasoned, readers and whatever gifts that we have, we're kind of used to that, and we're not here to try and convert anybody into anything. We just do what
No.
we do because we have these gifts, and our intent is always to help people. We're
Yeah.
trying to help people, and this is
Yeah.
the way we know how to do it, and it seems to give people peace, give people hope, give people understanding,
Hmm.
whatever it is that they're getting from coming to our channels, and I think we're doing it in a good way. And don't get me wrong, I know that there's some evil people out there doing
Absolutely.
this kind of work. And there
Mhm.
are charlatans, there are evil, like people with
Yeah.
absolute evil intent. But this is
Hmm.
not us. This is, you can't paint us all with the same brush,
Yeah.
right? You have to be able to use your logical mind and see
Yeah.
who is, on the up
Right.
and up, who isn't, and who's
And
out there for your
yeah.
own good and who isn't. So,
And the
yeah,
thing also is, even if you do good and you always are honest, there's always going to be that one or two people who, um, will do something to make you doubt yourself. And that's
right.
where you have to make that decision where, where you actually say, Spirit, tell me if this person is like, testing me, or,
Mhm.
give me a sign that this person is like, a fraud, or they're trying to make me look
Mm,
bad.
yeah.
But the thing is, you have to also humble yourself and realize you're not perfect,
Mhm.
and you can't always, predict somebody's life, or you can't
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
always do those things. You
That's right.
can't say, and like, I always tell people, like, when they come on my channel, I don't beg you for nothing. I don't ask you
Mhm,
nothing. I just want to conversate. And if you feel comfortable, you can
mhm,
ask me things or get whatever you want.
mhm.
And, we can do whatever. And as long as I can help you in some way, or
Right.
somebody in the chat room can help you, then I'm grateful, and I'm happy that, you left happy. But if not, that's life. You can go
Exactly.
somewhere else.
Well, Ayler in the chat here asked a question. What is your take on readers, channelers who decide to stop? Is it, Source utilizing them when they're at their highest and then they're forced to stop when the energy isn't matched? Well, you know what? I'm gonna
Mm.
speak to that, and then you can speak to that, Mark, after. But
Sure.
I'm gonna say that, that, they stop for all kinds of reasons. People need to understand when you're doing this kind of work, whether it's, what Mark does as a medium, or you're doing any kind of, reading, channeling, whatever it is you're doing, it takes a lot of energy. It really saps your energy, like, big time. And if you're doing this on a constant basis, and I feel that you can get drained to the point where you can't do it anymore. And then there are other people, the ones who quit because they say that, oh, God is, doesn't want them doing it because it's bad, and you know what I mean. Those kinds of readers, I don't buy into that personally. I do not buy into that, because you never would have been doing that in the first place. That's really how you felt. How do you all of a sudden in the middle of what you're doing decide that,
Yeah.
you've got to turn left here? That's a little odd to me, but that's my take on it. Mark, what's your take on it?
My take on it is, all depends on who you are. So that goes back to exactly what I've been saying for years, is if you do what you're supposed to do,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
do what spirit tells you, and you read for these people that you read for in a good way, and you give them a honest reading and don't hide anything,
Yeah,
then you're going to continue to get work. You're going to continue to get people to come to you. You're going to
absolutely.
have the same clients for years and years and years. And the thing is, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, it took a lot out of me." If it took a lot out of you, then you're not doing it right, because it should
Well,
never drain you completely.
sometimes
Only if
though
you abuse it.
sometimes though people, if you're really good at what you do, you've got constant, and if you don't say no to people and you have a
Right.
constant flow of people, it's it's a lot of energy work. So you get
Yeah.
drained. And then remember, we are still people, and we need to be able to go, live our life after this, the workday is done. So
Yeah.
you be drained and drained and drained. But there are some
Yeah.
people who just because you're good, you have a lot of people hitting you up, and you're putting in like 10-hour days doing this kind of stuff. You can get drained.
Yeah.
Um,
The drainage part is can also be controlled, in my opinion, because I used to feel the same way when I first started.
mhm.
Because when I first started, I absorbed it all, and I
Oh,
didn't know how to control it at first. So when you work with spirit, you gotta like tell them, "Hey, look, calm down. Let's
mhm,
do this like in a decent way." You gotta talk to them like as if they were alive. So a
mhm.
lot of people who like the reason why they stop is because they no longer have that power, in my opinion, or
Okay.
they've done a lot of wrong things and they lose their power. And if they just say, "Look, I just gotta stop because my life is hectic right now," that's a
Mhm.
different thing. Say
Yeah.
like somebody in my family died and it affected me, or I got all this work and I said, "Look, I have to stop right now. I
Mhm.
have to do." That's different. But if you say, like some readers we were talking about the other day that are on here hallucinating at a high rate,
Mhm.
they always say, "Oh, it's bad and it's this and it's that." It's because you abuse it. You're not supposed to abuse this type of stuff. You're not supposed to be doing it every single day, all day. If you work in your regular job every single day, all day, you're going to be drained too. So
Mhm.
try not to, when you do this type of work, I feel like people abuse it and
Yeah,
people try to
there's that.
um, become too, popular, and
Mhm.
they make too much money, and then they start to say, "Yeah, I'm great, I'm the best," but it's not you.
Yeah.
It's spirit
Mhm.
combining with you and the spirit of the people that you deal with. So
Okay, number
that's
1,
where
you
you're going
cannot
to go wrong.
you cannot let this stuff go to your head. Absolutely
Exactly. Yeah.
not.
That's why
This
people
is
stop.
not about you when you are doing this stuff. This is the gift that you have, and you
Mhm.
are doing it to help other people and so forth. This isn't
Yeah.
about you. And when you start mixing your ego in with that, that's where we get a problem. When someone
Yeah.
starts to think that they're, amazing, they're
Yeah.
godlike, everything, now you have a problem because
Right.
this is a person who's become egomaniacal. So,
And that's exactly why I say what I say. I never say
mm,
I am, this and I am that. I always say
mhm,
spirit's always got my back, or spirit says this. I always use the word spirit
absolutely,
plenty of times, or God. And
absolutely.
I to answer that question,
Mhm,
um, why do they decide to stop? And
mhm,
I'll go out and say this because I know it's true.
mhm,
A lot of psychics stop
mhm.
because they abuse their privilege that God gave them.
Yeah,
And they end up doing one or two things. They end up completely stopping because nothing they say happens. And
okay.
then they get bashed, or people say,
Mhm,
"Look, you're
right,
not the same person, or your reading didn't come true." They're
right,
sick and tired of the negativity because
mhm,
they abuse their privileges of
yeah,
having a gift.
yeah,
Or they get to the point where they say, "Okay, well, I'm going to stop doing private readings and I'm just going
mhm,
to do the signs, or pick a card, or come on once a week and
right,
just be, do normal things
yeah,
because, you realize you messed up."
mhm,
That's my opinion on that,
yeah,
to
exactly.
answer that question.
But
Because,
sometimes too, people, it's a career for a lot of people, and sometimes they
right.
move on too. So
Yeah.
they
And yeah, exactly.
just, yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of really good readers right in the height of their heyday, basically just said, no, you know what, I got a calling to do something else. And they just moved on, closed out their channels. But they're
Yeah.
not bashing it. And that's why I'm a little bit more leery of the ones who come out and say, like, oh, this is not God's work and things like that. And
Right.
tarot's
Yeah.
like those ones I'm very, very skeptical of and leery of because I'm not
Mhm.
sure what their motivation is for doing what they're doing. And on that note, I will leave you to the questions here, Mark, because I'm taking my break now. And
Okay, no problem.
I see Age of Aquarius has a question in there. Maybe you can take it. I shall return. BRB.
First, I want to say hello to everybody in the chat that I haven't said hello to. Hi, Ruth. Uh, and hi, Nina. Age of Aquarius, good to see you. Ayler, I think Ayler, that's your name. Yeah, you asked that question. So I hope I answered your question. Susan, how are you? Good to see everybody. And that's the thing. There's a lot of ways to answer that question. Because people can stop for many reasons. People can stop. Hey, Oda, how are you, Hermana? So the thing is, people can stop for many reasons. They can stop because they abused it and they don't know how to get back to where they were, or they messed up, or they just said, hey, look, I want to do something else. I'll tell you from my experience that when I was a DJ, a disc jockey for 20 years, I outdid it because I was like 34 years old playing music in a club to 18, 21 year olds. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm playing music to a different generation and I don't like it. So I gave it up. It's not because I was a crappy DJ. I was on the top of my game and I left. I was one of the best in Bermuda at the time. So I was like, okay, well, I'm done with that. It's time for me to move on. And then I started, doing all my the psychic stuff. And I never wanted to do this in the beginning anyway because people made it seem like it was a bad thing. So it's all about your choices at the end of the day, to answer that question. Hey, Helena, how you doing? Yeah, Tony, I have to wear it today. They were on form today, still in first. Age of Aquarius, you said, what do you think of those readers who won't read the energies of someone else who is a part of your life because they think they are reading them without permission? Well, the thing is you don't need their permission. You just need spirit's permission because that's who you're getting the answer from. Because if we wanted the answer from that person, then we would just ask that person, right? So when a reader says, "Oh, you're asking without permission," then what the heck are you reading for then? Because you're not really, doing it. You're doing it to find out. So I feel like if the person you're asking about, if their spirit wants you to know or give you the heads up, it's up to spirit to give you that message. It's up to spirit to give you the answer. So it all boils down to that for me when I answer that question because I can ask about anyone, and get an answer if their spirit is willing to work with mine. That's how I would answer that question because it's not about getting permission. It's about whether or not they're willing to give you the answer. So that's what I think about that.
And I am back.
Yay!
Hey. Okay, well, we can get into some fun topics now. This is the 17th podcast since I started the season, so this is
Yeah.
number 17, closing out with Marky Mark tonight. So, how about we talk about some fun conspiracies? I really love this topic because there's so many interesting stuff out there. And as someone who does investigative reporting and stuff, so I look into all of this stuff, everything that comes across. Right?
Yeah.
So people send me messages. What about this? What about that? And it's a fun time to look into some of these things. Some of them we can't discuss on here on YouTube, but some of them we can. Now, have you ever heard of the conspiracy theory birds aren't real?
Yes, I have.
You
Yeah,
have?
that they're robotic and
Yes,
they do all
yes,
these
that
crazy
one.
things, which is absolutely nuts.
It's so crazy, but it was so crazy. It had me gazing at birds one day, and I was looking at them and I was studying them, and then I actually went and I had to know, where does this come from? This is so bizarre. So I did a deep dive one afternoon, and I went in and I found the source of where this was this group that decided this is what was going on, and like they took it very, very seriously, and I'm like,
Yeah.
my God,
It'll make you think. It'll make you
it does,
question it. Yeah.
right? It really
Yeah.
does, because
But that's
a
what
lot
people do. They want us to investigate, and then they
exactly.
laugh at us for investigating it.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting because a lot of these, what are called conspiracy theories, turn out
Mhm.
to be absolutely true. They turn out
Yeah.
to be,
Some of
as
them,
the
yeah.
world has finally learned after the last couple of years, a lot of the things that they
Yeah.
call conspiracy theories turned out to be absolutely facts.
Yeah.
And I'll play a little game with you, and it's called true or false. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, the twin towers, the two planes that went into the twin towers, okay, did they actually fly into the buildings? Yes or no? True or false?
I would say yes because I feel like they did because if you saw all the debris, unless it was
Right.
filmed like that, and we
Absolutely.
weren't there.
Well, see,
But
that's the conspiracy theory that it
yeah,
wasn't, right? CGI, it
right,
was that. But
yeah,
it is actual fact. I have it on absolute authority from somebody who worked in a television station who saw it with his own eyes, that
right.
they had cameras on the outside and on the inside. So that is an actual fact. Now,
Right.
another true or false, weather modification, is it true or false?
Say it again.
Weather modification.
Oh, weather modification.
Is it true or false?
Um, I also think that's false.
No,
Um, like,
actually, that one is true.
I mean,
Weather.
it depends on because I mean, I think that it can be, but
Mhm,
when you have like a hurricane, I
mhm.
kind of debate whether or not it is. You know?
Well, see, those kinds of things, yes, natural disasters do happen naturally anyway, but
Yeah,
weather modification is an actual thing. Although a lot of people think it's a conspiracy theory,
yeah,
it there is Weather Modification LLC. It's on the stock market. You can actually buy stocks in it. It
yeah,
started in during the Vietnam War with Operation Popeye. Any of you in the chat, if you don't think weather modification is a real
yeah.
just look into it. Operation Popeye, when they
Mhm.
extended the monsoon season in order to try to give them the edge when they were fighting.
Right. Yeah,
Okay, so it is true, and if it was developed back then, you can just imagine how far advanced it had
yeah.
been. But
And
it
that's scary
absolutely,
to know, though. It's scary
yeah.
to know that some weather can be, modified.
Oh,
You know?
absolutely. And you know what
Yeah.
I feel about that is don't mess with Mother Nature, because they have been using cloud
Right.
seeding and things like that, right? So weather
Yeah.
modification is not a conspiracy theory. It's an
Mhm.
absolute, absolute fact. I
Yeah.
mean, they're selling
I
stocks in,
yeah.
they have it on the stock market. I mean, it's real.
I feel it's a fact with certain weather. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But when it comes to when it comes to like hurricanes and stuff,
Hmm.
like it was a few years ago. There was a huge hurricane that absolutely destroyed the Bahamas or
Oh,
Barbados, one of those places, and
mhm.
literally the hurricane spun there for like 3 days straight, and that's why I got all. That's when I started to say maybe this is true.
Yeah.
Maybe it is real that they can like make this hurricane just sit here for 3 days. That's unheard of.
Hmm.
It's got to move, but it just didn't. It just
Right.
circulated in the same spot for like 2 days straight, and
Yeah.
that's why it got destroyed. So
Absolutely, and there's a lot of
yeah,
strange weather anomalies that have been going on over the last few years. People are really noticing that, and things are bizarre. Even clouds and cloud formations, and everybody's like,
yeah.
"What is that?" But I mean, I've been aware of the weather modification for quite some time, and I've done deep dives on it. I've talked to people, and it is an absolute thing. And it's like I said, if
Yeah,
it's the LLC is on the stock market, it's a
yeah,
real.
yeah.
So
I
for
believe it. I believe it, but sometimes you're like, wait a minute, this can't be true.
Mhm.
So it's like, I do believe it. Yes, I know it's true. Yes,
Right,
because
absolutely.
I've seen it on TV before where the program they were talking about it, and they were
Mhm.
saying that they actually did it. Like
Yeah.
shot up some
It
like
yeah,
clouds and made fake clouds and shit like that. So I was
exactly.
like, wow, that's pretty cool. But
Well, they have even mentioned it on
yeah,
the mainstream news has
yeah,
even mentioned it,
hmm
right? They
yeah,
talked about cloud seeding and things like that, but it's amazing how when you talk to people and they have no
hmm
clue and you try to and they think you're a conspiracy theorist. No, these are
right,
facts. Like, that's the
yeah,
point of looking into things. There's a lot of theories out there, but you
yeah,
actually, if you really wanna know about them, you actually have to look into them.
yeah.
Okay, another, thing I'm going to I think we're done with the game unless you have any for me.
No, I mean, like I said, we everybody can debate the whole conspiracy theory thing until you prove it, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly,
Yeah,
and when it comes to weather modification, that is something that has been proven.
yeah, it
Uh,
is. Yeah.
Also, now I wanna move on to something a little bit more out there, and that is flat Earth. What do you think of flat Earth?
Well, to be
I'm
honest,
curious.
I haven't seen anything round except for the sun and the moon. And when you're in a plane, and I'm the type of guy, I've traveled a lot of my lifetime.
Mhm.
When I'm in a plane, the plane just goes straight. It doesn't go curved or it doesn't do anything. You know, it to me, I believe the Earth is flat. Yes, I do believe it's flat,
Mhm. Oh, really?
and
So you're a flat earther?
I
Yeah.
think that they say because in the Bible it says we have a dome over us for protection and things like
Mhm.
that. I do believe certain things like
Mhm.
that is real, but
Mhm.
I think that I honestly I think that it's both, but it's hard to explain why it's both. I
Oh,
think that
okay,
it's flat, but it's round flat.
okay.
I don't believe we're
Like
in a
a record.
bowl. I don't believe we're in a bowl, you know, and like the
Like a
Earth's
record.
spinning a million miles a minute. Like I don't really believe all of that
Well,
stuff.
you know, it's interesting because when I first heard of the flat Earth conspiracy theory, I thought it was absolutely bizarre. But again, you know, I need to look into these things. So I looked into it, and there's a lot of really compelling things that these flat earthers have to say about it.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I was like, I'm still not convinced, but um, I do have one question that kind of weighs on my mind, and that's the water, like the ocean, which you mentioned earlier, right, takes
Mhm.
up so
Yeah.
much of our Earth. Okay, water doesn't like oceans don't bend.
No.
So I understand we're on top here in gravity and we're turning around, but the ocean, how is it bending?
Mhm.
That's one thing that kind of gets my mind going. Other than that,
Exactly.
I don't know what to think of the flat Earth thing, but
Yeah.
I
With that, you can
obviously.
also say gravity, and then we're
Mhm,
in the space, and it just sits there. But I just
mhm,
don't believe that stuff. I mean, we're all taught and we're all shown like a label that's put on everything. That the Earth is round, and you have
exactly.
gravity, you have this, and that, and
Mhm,
But to me, I now in this, my lifetime now, and I've heard everybody talk about that.
mhm.
As you're when you're in a plane, you look down and everything's flat. It's like, how can this be round?
Yeah,
And
it's
it
true.
just doesn't
It
make any sense.
yeah, there's a lot of, things that make you go, "Hmm," about
Yeah,
that.
and then you can say, if you look at the astrology aspect
Mm,
of it, you can say, well, when we see the solar system, it's a round planet. Jupiter's
right.
round, this is round,
Yeah. Mhm.
that's round, and then you have like, everything is round,
Right.
that's in the air and in this, in the
So it's
solar
safe
system.
to assume we're also round as well. But I
Yeah.
think a lot of these, the problem with a lot of this stuff that's coming out now is people, well, due to social media and platforms such as, YouTube and that, everybody, comes out there with their theories. And so that we're
Yeah.
exposed to a lot more different things right now. And
Hmm.
so it's understandable that people would, jump on certain bandwagons and so forth. And
Yeah,
I
of course.
I think what's also fueling it is the fact that a lot of people realize that we've been lied to about so many things,
Absolutely.
about history and everything else, and people just don't believe anymore.
Hmm.
So now we're starting to question everything we were taught in school and everything
Yeah,
else. The history books,
absolutely.
starting to question it, right?
Hmm.
So I think that's why people are going, no, where things were just a given before, the world
Yeah.
is That's all there is to it.
Right.
Now people are starting to raise questions, and I think that's healthy. We should be looking at different aspects of things.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not good to know every damn thing.
Yeah,
Leave
yeah,
something to your imagination, and
true.
that's the whole thing about free will and opinions. It
Right.
bothers people, and until you can actually prove it, then that person has no leg to stand on. So,
Exactly, and even
yeah.
things that have been proven throughout the years by, brilliant scientists and so forth,
Mhm.
have been debunked as the years
Yeah,
have gone on too. So
exactly.
it's like, well, if so and so said this about that, doesn't mean that
Mhm.
he
Everything's
was good
questioned.
and wrong
Yeah.
about this as well, right? So I
Yeah,
think
exactly. Yeah.
doubts in
Well,
people's
when we were all younger, they said that by the time you get a license, you're gonna see flying cars.
yeah,
Well, I haven't seen any, so when you keep trying, you
yeah.
know.
They're in the works. They're in the works.
Yeah, they're in the works, but they
Yeah,
were saying that when I was a kid, so you
right.
had like,
True.
40 years to do it,
Mhm,
but you still haven't done it.
mhm.
So
Okay,
it's
so
like things like that I don't really,
here's
think
another
of.
big one here. Did they land on the moon or did they not? Was it all just a big presentation? This is another conspiracy theory.
That's something that I don't know. I kind of believe they did,
Mhm,
but there's no, like, they show proof, like,
mhm,
somewhat. But the thing is, did they really have that technology back then that they have now, or maybe did they, they had it but they didn't give it to us yet? Because they
right.
can make, like how they make movies.
Yeah,
It's all
and it
fake.
kind of looks like a
It's all
movie,
fake,
right?
right?
When you
So
see the footage of it, it sort of looks like
yeah,
something
because
from a
when that guy, what is his name, Neil Armstrong or whatever his name
movie.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, like this guy saw him somewhere and said, "Look, I have the Bible. Can you put your hand on this Bible and swear that you landed on the moon?" And they told the guy, "Get away from me,"
Oh,
and I'm not doing that. I don't know if you've seen that video.
no, I haven't.
It's all over the place. Like the guy was like, he was like a pastor or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, Mr. Armstrong, can I talk to you for a second? If you really landed on the moon, can you put your hand on this Bible and solemnly swear that you did, so everybody can, see you're not lying?" And he never did it. He didn't want to do it.
Mhm.
So it's like that. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh God, why don't you just do it if it's real?"
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And there's other
Yeah,
good points too. Like people say that if they landed on the moon so many years ago, how come they haven't gone back and so forth? They try, and then it
yeah,
never works out and so forth.
yeah,
And the production that they did show the world. If you look at the breakdown with the flag
mhm,
flying and all of that,
yeah,
it looks like a production. I
yeah.
have to
It
say
looks
it does.
fishy. Yeah,
But it
yeah,
doesn't mean that they didn't go there, but maybe they just weren't able to film it and they did the filming after the fact or something. I don't know. The jury still
yeah.
comes to me. I have not seen enough evidence.
But you know what? It seems like it's so close. So how
Mhm.
is it not possible? Because when the full
Yeah,
moon comes,
that's a good point, right? And what about
when
countries too?
yeah,
Like, how come they haven't gone?
like for instance, every full moon, out of all the years that have gone by in my life, I feel like the moon's gotten closer. You know,
It does
sometimes
seem bigger, hey?
it does seem bigger. It does seem closer. And I used to
Mhm.
live on the north shore of Bermuda, and now I live on the south shore of Bermuda. So
Okay.
it comes up like right in front of my house, and it lights up everything. Like one
Wow.
day I thought I left my outdoor lights on, and I
Oh,
was like, "Oh
really?
shit, it's the full moon."
Ah,
It's like, how is that? So if they said they landed on that thing, I kind of believe them because it's close.
yeah,
It's like if I can see the moon and
right.
I can't see New York from Bermuda, then what does that say?
Right. Okay, but how come they never went back?
Well, how do we know they never went back?
Well,
They can just
not
go
that
and not say nothing.
they
They can go and
claim
not say nothing.
"Oh, we're going back," just recently, and then,
Yeah,
oh, something happened and the launch didn't go off.
yeah.
So, I don't know, it's a little bit
I
fishy,
think
a
I
little.
think that they might have gone, but they just don't say nothing. Or just
Mhm.
like I saw the other day, there's a guy who worked for NASA, and they created these huge submarines to go 30,000 feet below sea level.
Mhm.
to see more, and they designed these specific submarine machine thingies.
Right.
And he said that there was like a huge 200-foot thing coming their way, and it was like a huge shark or some crap, right?
Mm,
And it ended up killing the people in the first one, and the second one got away. So, like, I believe all those things,
mhm.
because where are you gonna come up with that if you didn't live it?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you're gonna randomly say that happened, and we don't really know what's below there, because there's no real serious proof, and if there is, they're probably keeping it to themselves, or they just like I feel like a lot of things have been done, but underneath our noses and in back of our backs. So we're
Oh,
never really gonna know those things unless we know someone that said, "Hey, guess what, Mark? I went to the moon last night." And
I
here's the
went
pictures.
to the
No
moon
shit.
last
And I was
night.
watching you look at me, Mark. I saw you. I zoomed in on your Google Earth and I saw you watching me. And you were putting your crystals out there. That's the only way I would believe it. You know what I mean?
I went to
So
the
it's like,
moon.
until you prove that shit to me, then I'm not gonna believe it.
I I don't know about you, Mark, but if anybody came to me and said I went to the moon last night, I would wonder what they were on.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'll be like, yeah, bro, you better save that for somebody else. I'll be looking at my cards and saying, Spirit, tell me if this person's lying to me or not.
Yeah. Have you ever looked at the moon through a telescope?
Yeah, I did when I was younger. Yeah, when we had one. Yeah, we used
Okay.
to do all that stuff. Look at the stars and the Big Dipper and all that stuff. And yeah, I did it years and years ago, but I
Did
haven't
the
done it
moon
recently.
did the moon look close back then, like in the telescope?
Not really.
No.
Not really. I honestly feel it's not in my brain. I honestly feel that it's closer.
Mm.
Especially now that me living here, I feel like it's closer.
Well, I wonder if it wouldn't be worth it to maybe take a look at it now that the moon's so huge,
Yeah,
and
I would love
take
to.
a look at it through a telescope since
Yeah,
you s
I gotta find. I know somebody that has one too,
Mhm.
so I'll ask them what they think. But that's something that I believe is possible. But when I go to the United States or some other country, the moon looks so far away. But when
Mhm.
I'm here, it looks super close. And I always wondered why, you know?
Well, I find that when I'm out in the country in the middle of nowhere, the moon seems so much closer than when you're
Mhm.
in the city or something. It seems further away, but
Yeah,
it seems like more like I'm around a large open body of water, so I do see the moon quite large. And even if I go on the highway and I'm out somewhere, in
yeah,
some sort of open field, the moon does look a lot larger.
yeah, definitely.
But I agree
Especially,
with you, it's getting something's changing there, it's getting different. The moon is getting different because the last
yeah,
couple of months, it's just been weird, but I'm
yeah,
not sure if it had to do with that eclipse or what was going
yeah.
on,
I
something.
honestly wish you guys can see what I see with the moon here. Like it's just, but you know what? There's some like I would say every 3 months, it's in a different location
Mhm.
when it's a full moon.
Yeah.
Like for
Okay.
months, it's in like the same place.
Right.
Because I map it out. Like,
Mhm.
and there's some days where on that side of the house, I see it coming up that way,
Mhm.
more on the east side. It's
Right.
never coming from the west.
Right.
So I see it coming up on the east, and then now it's more over here where the water is.
Okay.
So I'm like, now it's like east, southeast.
Well, I guess it's just like the sun changes position too as the sea
Yeah, yeah.
changes, so
Right.
maybe
So
that.
I feel like over a period of time, like
Mhm.
maybe when I was like 6, 7 years old, 40 years ago, like I didn't notice, because I was like, I don't give a crap about the moon. I don't even know what nothing about it. So, but now I feel like at this age, it's gotten closer. I feel like we're closer to the moon now, or the moon is closer to us, just because of the way things are spinning or something. I have no
Or
idea.
maybe the firmament is changing.
Yeah, something's
Firmament.
changing, or maybe the hurricane blew it here.
Yeah,
You know, I
exactly.
have no idea. Or maybe, like you said, the weather conspiracy. Maybe they're pushing the moon
Right.
towards us more to
Mhm.
like. But I love the fact that the moon is
Oh,
close.
I do
It's
too. I
natural light at night. I don't have to leave my lights on.
absolutely love the fuller and bigger the moon is, I could stare at that all evening. I love that. I love that a
Yeah,
lot.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to another conspiracy theory of Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch. Do you
Oh
believe
God.
in
Yeah,
Sasquatch?
I honestly, I've seen so many videos of those, and I'll tell you, I believe it. I do
What
because
you do? Yeah,
I do believe that because I believe anything's possible in this world because it's huge. There's
yeah.
places where humans have not been, and if they have, they probably feel like, "Holy shit, I gotta get out of here," you know. And
I, yeah.
I believe that there are, they are out there. Maybe not a lot, but I
Mhm.
believe that it is real. Yes.
I mean, I've seen the videos too. I mean, not a lot, but I
Mhm.
think I just always giggle when somebody mentions Sasquatch because I find it funny. But I
Yeah.
just like I have to think that even in the most bizarre conspiracy theory. There's a grain of truth in there. So
Yeah.
I always try to find the source. Like where
Hmm.
did like I did with the, birds aren't real. I had to find the source. Where did it come
Yeah.
from? I don't know what the source is of Sasquatch. Like who was the first person to see it?
Yeah.
And was it just some old wives' tale and it just got handed down throughout the generations?
I
It-
mean,
I has have several people seen it? Well, some people claim.
yeah. Some people really honestly believe it. Like when that show came on,
Mhm.
a long time, a couple years ago, a show came on, and it was Bigfoot. It was called Finding Bigfoot. It was called, and
Okay.
I watched every single one because I'm always interested in those things. You know,
Mhm.
Bigfoot definitely doesn't exist here because we don't have that much forest and trees and things
Okay.
like that. That it'll never be here, right? So, but I believe it's in places where there's
Oh.
land and land
Like
and
the
trees.
rainforest or the deep.
Right, and he's living off of those things. Because some people say that some people that own farms were like,
Mhm.
something came and took my cow or and there's no remains of it. Anything that can do that is a Sasquatch or like a huge animal,
Right.
you know?
I always think
And
that some people, they mistake really because some bears are really, really big. They see them at a
yeah,
distance, they become terrified, and they think that's Sasquatch. That's what I think could be going on, and it probably does, but
yeah,
maybe there really is a real Sasquatch. Maybe there's a real Loch
yeah.
Ness monster too. I don't know about
Well, when it comes to the water, I believe in
Oh,
all
yeah,
of those
I
things
agree. There's some
because
weird
yeah.
stuff in the water. Is
Yeah, in
there
the water, I would never doubt
Yeah,
mermaids or any Loch Ness monsters
yeah,
or
there
squids and all that stuff. I believe in all of that stuff. I believe that's true because,
Mhm.
and also you got to think about it. Land is huge too. There's land that we can't build on.
That's true.
Why do you think we can't? It's because there's creatures there that you're like, oh hell no, you know. And look at Africa. Africa's full of animals that you don't see nowhere else in the world.
That's very true, and the sea, sometimes they pull out creatures, like, I've seen a lot of
Yep.
these deep sea
Yeah.
dive they pull out creatures, it's like, "What is that thing?"
What is that? Yeah.
It's got lips on the side of its
Yeah.
face and eyes over
Yeah,
like, "What is that?"
a friend of mine that does my pool, he's like a diver, and he says that he sees something different every time he goes down there.
Oh, is that right?
And they're still trying to find out what the heck these things are, or what the names are, or if they're in an encyclopedia or something, because
Yeah,
they don't know what it is.
yeah,
And he said that the lionfish have taken over, but I've never caught a lionfish in my life. But he
no.
says a lot of lionfish have taken over the water here in Bermuda, and
Wow.
they're trying to like get rid of a lot of them or catch them and eat them because they're actually good to
Mhm.
eat.
Yeah.
So he says that it's different, it's weird, but he says that he's seeing tons of things in the ocean that he's never seen before.
Yeah, it's bizarre. So when it comes to the Loch Ness monster, I mean, I
Yeah,
probably, err on the side of yeah,
yeah,
it's probably true because there's weird, weird,
yeah,
weird things in the
yeah.
deep, deep sea, right? And
With
just
with
because somebody has
with
never seen
Bigfoot,
a creature like that doesn't mean, when it first comes up, everybody's like, "What the heck is that thing?"
right?
And
Exactly.
and so it becomes, a terrifying legend as goes
Yeah,
down. Here where we live, we have a massive, like they call it the inland ocean. It's a massive lake. Now, there's a strange thing we had to get used to out here was fish flies. Now,
yeah,
apparently, they lay all of their eggs in the bottom of the water,
yeah.
and it takes a year for them to mature,
Mhm.
and then they come out every July, and they bombard the town. They're
Yeah,
everywhere,
everywhere. Yep.
and
Yeah.
they smell like fish, and
Yeah.
they fly, and they don't live long, and they die within 24 hours. It's an interesting, uh,
Hmm.
phenomenon, like, they spend a year underwater
Yeah.
just to be born,
Exactly.
to live for 24 hours. It's
Yeah.
really
It happened here the other day with all the jellyfish and the Portuguese
Oh,
man
is
of
that
war
right?
were all washed up on the beach, and people were like, "Please,
Oh,
everybody, don't walk along the beach. You're gonna get stung." And there was the guy took a picture of it. It was like mounds and mounds of them, and we
wow.
were like, "What the heck is that? Like, how the heck did that happen?" So
Wow.
anything to do with the ocean is crazy. But getting back to Bigfoot before I forget,
Mhm.
with Bigfoot and Sasquatches and all that stuff, interbreeding with certain things will make that happen. So,
Well, that's
like,
it.
there's a lot of sick human beings on this earth, right? And I hate to say it, but that's the only way that's gonna happen.
Really,
That's
so
what
you
I
think
think.
maybe they bred, maybe a large bear with something
With a
else?
huund being or something like that, and it came out to be that,
Yeah.
if that's even possible. But
Well,
we won't know because we're not doing it. But maybe that's how it happened. Because
oh,
there's a
yeah.
lot of sick people out there, and
No,
that's how I think
you
those things happen.
you raise a good point, Mark, because there
Yeah.
are a lot of sick people. I never thought about it that way, but I
Yeah,
do know
I don't like to think
too.
about that, but I
I've
know that can
heard
happen.
some really nasty things about what they do with
Yeah.
experimentation, with
Mhm.
humans and animals, and trying to crossbreed. They're trying, science is trying to
Yeah.
come up with all these things. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Again,
Yeah.
I always err on the side of caution with that, because don't mess with Mother Nature. If you're not
Exactly.
into, yeah, I understand science and inquisitive. I'm an inquisitive person myself. I love science and I love all this
Yeah.
stuff, but just don't cross lines.
Yeah.
Where
Exactly.
you're messing with Mother Nature, because you're going to create a monster.
Yeah,
And
and
maybe if that's what they
that's
did,
what they
that's
did. Yeah,
exactly.
so I believe that's the only way that was created.
Wow.
That's why we don't see it a lot, but when
Mhm.
we do see it, we're like, how is that possible? Like, that's crazy. That's like a human being with a whole pile of hair.
Right? Yeah.
So, and the only
That's
way that's gonna happen is if a human being, was with a bear, or with some animal that's that big or whatever. But
or
whether or not that can happen, I
maybe
don't know. But
maybe they
that's my
collected the DNA of a Neanderthal or something early man,
yeah.
mixed it
Yeah.
with an animal or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
People
yeah,
are
that's a good
that sick, and that's the only
point.
way that I can see that happening. So I do believe it's real because I've seen a lot of like the videos of it and stuff, and people were actually like, they show like the footprint, and
Mhm.
but we can do that too. We can A carpenter can make a footprint and
Yeah,
just stamp
true.
it.
I know,
So
that's what I'm saying. There's not a lot of evidence. I mean, obviously, if somebody saw one,
yeah,
got a clear picture of it, then
right,
that's different, or video.
yeah,
But we haven't seen that in all these years. That's why
right,
I'm wondering about it. But, keep your mind open to anything, because,
yeah,
for me, more when it comes to these conspiracy theories, is I always wanna know its origin. Where did it come from? And what
yeah,
is the grain of truth that is in it, right?
yeah,
Okay, let's move on
exactly.
to the next topic of aliens. So,
Aliens.
what do you think about aliens?
I believe that they're real. I
Do you?
believe it. Yeah, I do believe that some of it's real.
Mhm.
Um, I believe
Well,
that it's true, but I just don't believe that they want to be around us. You know,
what can you
like,
blame 'em?
yeah, I don't blame them because I believe that they exist, but
Yeah.
they don't look like how they say they look like.
Okay,
But
but again, does this go back to the whole Sasquatch thing? How come nobody
yeah,
can get clear pictures of them? How come there's no clear
right,
video? But there's a lot of it. I mean, they've even come out. The government has come out and
yeah,
said,
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
absolutely bizarre.
yeah,
But yet at the same time, where's the grain of truth in that? And I have
yeah,
seen some weird looking, strange beings, but I wouldn't
yeah,
exactly call them aliens from another planet. I
yeah,
think what those beings are is experiments again. Them
yeah.
experimenting with this and another creature, and they're trying to create something, and
Exactly.
or trying to pass it off as an alien.
Yeah. the
Yeah.
the thing is, that's why they have so many movies, and
Mm,
they have so many things about that because it exists.
yeah.
The world is huge. We only live where we live.
Mm.
So how the heck are we gonna know what's going on all over the entire world? The
Yeah, but
world is too
they're
big.
saying that they've captured
Yeah,
aliens and they've done experiments on them and everything else. Well,
yeah,
where's the proof of that? Like, I understand they go into Congress and they talk about that and they try and disclose
yeah,
all this stuff, but
yeah,
where is the actual concrete proof of it? I
yeah.
wanna know. Every time the world
Hmm.
gets a little bit crazy, you notice they all of a sudden start talking about aliens and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
to
Yeah,
distract us. It's
yeah.
it's ridiculous, but again, it's gotta have its origin
Origin.
somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So where is that origin? Like, where did this whole concept of aliens come from? Was it just from Hollywood and the movies, or was there actual aliens that the movies were based on? Like, where
Yeah.
is the thread that leads us to the first person who ever talked about aliens?
Uh, about aliens, a person came to me when they said, "Look, I know you're a medium. Don't think I'm crazy.
Mhm,
I want you to, because I see aliens, and I see like different things, and I
mhm,
want to know if you would do the honor of tapping into something like that." And I was like, "Well, if they want to show me, I'll check it out for you. Like,
uh,
I don't care.
yeah,
I'm not
okay,
scared of like that type of stuff." Because you have to like check. So I tapped into it for that person, and I
mhm.
actually saw like a dragon like alien looking thing, and I
Oh, really?
described it, and then the person showed me a picture of,
Oh, wow.
if you look at the emperor card
Mhm,
on your deck with the ones that have them with the shield, it
mhm.
shows you that. It shows you those type of weird
Oh,
dragon looking alien creatures.
mm,
So even on the tarot they show you those
mhm.
things.
But
So
again, are these alien creatures man-made, or did they actually come from another planet? Like, did they come from
That's
Saturn
that's
or Mars?
something that, I mean, I believe everything has to do something with man made. But God made it all, to be honest. So, it's he made all sorts of things that we see every day.
So you think maybe God made aliens too?
I believe so, yeah. But
Okay.
God is the biggest conspiracy theory in the world.
That's
Some
true
people,
too. It's so
God
bizarre.
is
Yeah.
something that nobody's really seen because he's a
Mhm.
spirit.
That's very, very true.
And then you'll never know. So if you don't believe, so God is just like aliens, mermaids,
Mhm.
Loch Ness monster,
Sasquatch.
Bigfoot. If you believe it, it's true. If you don't believe it, then it doesn't exist.
Okay.
So that's
Well
how I feel about all of that.
well, that's a good point, but when it comes to me
Yeah,
with God is something I feel, and then you
yeah,
have to give me some explanation as to how we're all here. How did we get
yeah,
here? Who made this beautiful earth that we inhabit? Who
yeah.
made all the animals? Who made everything is something. So
Right.
call it source, call it God, call it whatever
Yeah,
you want to call it. But there's something here that created us, and I feel a connection to that.
yeah,
So, but
definitely.
I don't feel a connection to aliens or Sasquatch, but
Oh no,
my mind
I
is
don't feel a connection to them because it's irrelevant in my world.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm not a scientist that's gonna go out there looking for it.
Mhm.
But it's just like being a psychic and being a medium. What drove you to do it? Is it real? Is it not real? Or what am I seeing? What am I feeling? So at the
Well,
end of the day, spirit is the most powerful
yeah.
source in the world. So the spirit can make things.
Mhm.
It can
Yeah.
make things happen.
Yeah. I just don't understand if all the most brilliant scientists in the world and all the most inquisitive people throughout, nobody has ever gotten a picture of aliens or Sasquatch. I would
Yeah.
love for someday that somebody does, so I can actually
Yeah, I,
see
I
it.
don't. I mean, that's the thing. I believe that some people have that information,
Mhm.
but it gets blocked, or
But
like people are
why
like, no,
would you,
no.
what would you think the motivation would be for the government or anybody to suppress this information to the public? I never understood the whole Area 51 thing. I never understood that.
Well, the thing I believe, honestly, is the thing I believe about that stuff is that you know what you know. right? So I could, like me being a medium, people
Mhm,
say, I wish I had that gift, or like, how the hell did you do that, or how the hell can you talk to dead people? That's bull, that's crap. That's not real, and so by me having something that you don't,
mhm,
it doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it real. It just makes it real for you because you dealt with me,
right,
so I
yeah,
can have somebody who's like, oh, I don't believe in mediumship, it's all bullshit, and I don't want
yeah,
to do it because it's demonic, and who
mhm,
you think you are, to like do that,
mhm,
and then if I say to them, hey, look, this and this, and only you know that,
mhm,
how am I supposed to know who
right.
you deal with and who you are? So it applies to everything that we believe and don't believe in my opinion.
Right. I just don't understand what the point was with the government trying to hide what was really going
Yeah.
on in 51. It's been a topic
Yeah.
for everybody asked these questions to the government and everything. And now it's at the point where they're delving into the files and everything. And
Yeah.
feel like we're living in the X Files now because it's absolutely crazy because why would they have hidden this information for so long? Like I get it
Yeah.
in the beginning because they didn't know what they were dealing with, but it has
Yeah.
been a long time.
People
So why
know.
not giving
Yeah.
it now?
I honestly, Star, I feel like a lot of people know the truth and they know all this information.
Mm,
It's just that people are like, yeah, whatever,
mm.
They're like, yeah, I don't believe that stuff.
Well, I've
So
seen videos where, they came out and showed this one alien actually being
yeah,
questioned on camera and everything else.
yeah,
But again, is this another Hollywood production thing? Are they
yeah,
just doing it to get
and
attention? I
yeah,
have
and that's
no
the sad thing is we have Hollywood corrupting us to
exactly.
believe what
Right.
is right and what is wrong.
Television, yes, telling
Yeah,
stories and
right.
and confusing us, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I
and that's
understand
the
a lot of people out there who believe in aliens. But Tony swears he has alien blood because
yeah.
he
I believe Tony. Yeah,
I believe Tony,
I
okay,
believe Tony.
but
Tony, I
I'm not
believe you,
sure
bro.
what planet he comes from.
Let me tell you something. We're all unique in our own way.
Mhm. Well,
God, if
everybody has
God
their
made
faith.
us if God made everybody equal and the same, it will be a boring life.
Well,
Even
you know
twins
what?
aren't the same.
I agree with you on that. And I believe that we all, have the right to believe. That's why I believe in freedom of speech and freedom of thought.
Yeah.
Everybody should be putting these questions out there to people and listening to what other people have to
Mhm.
say and not arguing with them, but just sort of debating
Yeah.
these things because I think it's healthy to keep the mind active and to be
Yeah.
inquisitive, I think is so, so very
Mhm.
important because it
Yeah.
keeps your mind open, right? Because if
Yeah.
you
It's
close your mind and just, "That's all I believe and that's it," well,
right.
you're missing out on so much in life, you know?
Exactly. We're entitled to believe and to have an opinion of
Mhm.
whatever we really want.
Right. Mhm.
We all, and I think everybody's oversensitive
Yeah,
these days,
abs
but I just think that everybody needs to understand that everybody is allowed
mm,
and is entitled to what they want to
right.
believe, hear, see,
Mhm.
taste, whatever.
Yeah,
We all, people are allergic to things.
right.
People have fear of things.
Exactly.
Tony has blood that hardly anyone has.
Mhm.
I have a gift that some mediums
You're right.
don't have.
Mm,
You know,
yeah,
um, we all do things different. Who cares? I think we all need each other
I agree.
to
I agree.
to embark on our
Mm.
journey of life. And just that's what I
Yeah,
love about talking about things like this because people
exactly.
need to understand that you can't do it all by yourself. You're gonna need somebody at some point in time, or you're
And it
gonna.
also keeps life interesting, when
Yeah,
you have other
exactly. Yeah,
people to bounce ideas off of, and a
right.
lot of ideas and innovation comes from that, from think tanks and people
Hmm.
getting together
Yeah,
and, figuring out how to deal with things. And as long as you keep your mind open, I think, it's a good thing. Anybody with a closed mind,
absolutely.
you're really, really harming yourself more than anything else.
I agree. Yeah,
Um,
the more we learn, the better it is. Because
Exactly, exactly, and to be inquisitive as a child, I think it's
yeah,
great. if you have an inquisitive
Mhm.
child in your midst, do your best to answer their questions. That's a good thing. Never
Absolutely.
make them feel bad about being inquisitive, because they should
No.
remain inquisitive throughout their life. There's a lot of amazing things out there in life. There's amazing things to talk about. There's amazing
Yes,
things to do. There's
of
amazing
course.
things to study. And if we do that throughout our lifetime, life never gets boring. It never
Yeah.
gets boring. It's
No.
always fun. It's always exciting because there's
Yeah.
always a topic to, that's
Yeah.
why I love podcasts, because people just,
Yeah.
do. I
And
love
that's
doing
why
this because
it's
we
good
get
to talk to each other. It's good to talk
Mhm.
about things that are uncomfortable and comfortable. You know,
Exactly. Mhm.
y- it's nothing wrong with talking about anything, really. It's just that people have their own agendas, and they want to have power over you. That's the
Mhm.
biggest problem in the world, is people want to have power over you. They want to tell you what you can and can't do. They want to
Mhm.
tell you what you can and can't say. You got to
Yeah.
be under this like power of them. And
Well, that
if you can escape that
yeah.
and live your own life, then you'll find that, hey, it's not so great. It's not so bad after all.
Mhm.
You know?
Well, I think that freedom of speech is very important. You have to allow people to say
Hmm.
what they need to say and get it out there. You may agree with them, you may not agree with them. So I
Yeah,
think the most dangerous thing going on in the world right now is that threat to free speech,
yeah,
especially on social media and so forth. I
mhm,
mean, I understand there's certain lines, that go too far. You should
yeah,
definitely have guidelines when it comes to things like that. You don't want people pushing narratives that are really negative and harmful and violent. You don't want that.
yeah,
But when it comes to just open dialogue about anything, you should be able to talk about medicine, politics, and all of these other things
yeah,
freely. But nowadays, especially on this platform, you have
yeah,
to be careful what you say. You've got to walk a fine line. And that's unfortunate, because the early days of YouTube, that was not the case. YouTube was the place you could come on, you could talk about anything, everything, and just
yeah.
go wild. It was the Wild West.
I
Things
feel like with that, I just feel like it's allowed for certain people, because there's some videos on here where you're allowed to do whatever you want because of who you know and who you are, and that's
but
how life. That's how
event
life is to me, really. You know.
yes, but if you look at the I used to think that too, but then if you look
Hmm.
at some of these, big channels that they themselves got bombed,
Yeah.
because look
Yeah, I
at
agree.
Russell
Yeah.
Brand. Look at he had 5 million subscribers, and he was going strong, and he was talking about the things he wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And he was never promoting anything violent or anything like that. But look what happened to him. They came after him. They demonetized. I thought, like, wow, they're not going to touch big channels like that because they're making too much money off of them.
Yeah.
Well, they did. They came for him.
Yeah.
Look at Tucker Carlson when he was on Fox News and he was
I
saying,
agree.
and they
Yeah.
came after him too. So at the end of the day, they are going after anybody who doesn't go along with their narrative, and that's
Yeah.
to me is crossing a line, because you're shutting down the freedom of speech of only certain people. What's
Yeah.
good for the goose should be good for the gander, and if you're going to shut down that speech, you shut down on the other side too.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that, and so
And
I'm not happy
and
with them over this. But at the same time, at least we have this platform to be able to have these
yeah.
discussions. And as long as we don't go too far here, well,
Yeah. Well,
we're
that's the thing. We know what to say and what to do.
yeah, exactly.
But
You learn the hard way, right?
yeah, but I still feel like it's all about like who you know, and and I also feel like the government's losing, the faith of the people.
Yeah,
So
that's
they're
true.
going to try and make sure that we don't know the truth. We don't get uplifted by powerful people that actually have a brain and
Right.
uplift people.
You
They're
know.
not going to worry about us in the tarot and
No,
spirit
because
world.
yeah,
They're not worried about
what
us.
they're doing right now is they're busy calling those people conspiracy theorists, which is
Right.
absolutely ridiculous. They're coming out and they're telling the truth about
Hmm.
things. Like
Hmm.
again, like Tucker Carlson, his show is well researched. This
Yeah.
guy comes out and he tells you the facts,
Yeah.
and they call him a conspiracy theorist. Like this is
Well,
ridiculous. They
yeah.
just throw that on people because they want to label you so that the other people who are following them stay away from you.
Right.
They're branding you with something like that, and it's absolutely unfair, but there's a lot of unfair things, Mark, going on, we know, right, in the world right now. All we
Yeah.
have is hope that we can move past this phase and get to a little bit more of a normal phase. That is my hope. What is your hope?
Well, my hope is that everybody deals with themselves, because if we I feel like, psychics have always embedded something in my brain, and that is, don't give people your energy.
Mm,
And that saying to me never made sense.
yeah.
And then I started to think about it over the years, and I said, you know what, you're right. Because if I disagree with you,
Mhm,
or I don't like you, I'm giving you my energy. So if I completely block you out of my mind
mhm,
and my heart, then I don't have to worry about what you say, what you do, how you act. You're nothing to me. It's just like the government.
yeah.
We don't have to pay those bills if we're not in the system.
Mhm,
But if you own a house, you have to pay for certain things. You're
yeah.
going to be on that list of, your
Mhm,
house owner. You have to pay electricity. All the, like, my point is this: if you just do what you have to do and don't do dumb shit to get you in trouble,
mhm.
then you're up you're no worry of anybody's.
That's true.
So if
Mm,
you stay to yourself and don't give anybody your energy, you will
mhm,
live a prosperous and decent life, because you're not giving the bad people your energy. You're
yeah.
not giving the government your energy. Or because
So
something goes up in price, inflation is only going to affect you if you allow it to. Everything affects you if you want it to. So we have
your
to. I
attention,
say
your
I
what
say
you
this
what
a
you're
lot.
saying
Is
is
you
what
have
you
to,
give your attention to is what's going to,
right.
grow
So
life.
one of my favorite sayings is, you have to manipulate your own mind to believe what you want to,
Right.
and manipulate your energy
Mhm,
to not deal with, the wrong, the
mhm,
bad, the evil. If you just do what you have to do, I feel like your life is great. And that's why I feel like my life is great, because I say, you know what, pension just went up, I got to pay payroll tax, my car broke down, what the hell. Like, if I look at it as a negative way and complain about it, then
mhm.
I'm going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
But if I say, hey, look, this is life, man, I'm so happy I'm not in the hospital hooked up to an IV.
Right.
I'm glad my parents are here. So I think we have to. My hope is for everyone to understand that we all have a purpose in life. We all can. I'm sure if you took a piece of paper and a pen, you can write down 10 positive things,
Yeah.
and you can write down 10 negative things.
Mhm.
Right? But if you focus on the 10 positive things, the negative things don't exist, because you don't allow it to consume you.
Right. I like what you said about the basically, like, not allowing the negative people around you to take
Yeah,
up space in your mind because they're not paying rent,
exactly.
so they need to go away,
Right.
right?
Because you can't be nice to those people, because
Mhm.
some people are like, oh, well, I feel like I can't tell them to F off and go away. Yeah, you can. You
Yeah.
know, you
Mhm.
can tell them, hey, look, I don't want you in my life anymore. Leave me alone.
Mhm.
You don't have to say anything bad. You can just disconnect
Yeah,
yourself.
that's
You
true.
cut that
That's
you cut that cord. So I
Mhm.
feel like we are our own worst enemy when it comes
Mhm.
to allowing these conspiracy theories to get to us.
Mhm.
To have someone come in there and troll us and say, hey, psychic stuff is demonic. And if you believe that, then you're gonna actually believe that, because you can't let people's little comments or people's words affect you. You
No,
gotta do what's
you can't.
best for
No,
you
you're
as a
right about that.
person.
And I don't. I
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So, like, you know what, homie, don't play this game. I got no time for you. I got to move on because I got some
Right.
fun things to do, like hook up with Mark and have a podcast. I'm not going to be
Right.
interested
And
in
see,
what you
and
have to
and
say.
and look what you just said. You said I can hook up with Mark and have a
Mhm.
podcast,
Yeah.
because you and I have known each other for several years, and we've
Mhm.
never disrespected each other. So
Mhm.
that's why you and I can have a talk like this,
Right.
or
Mhm.
or ask each other things as,
Right.
adults, because
Mhm.
we know better.
Yeah.
But you and I have a different life,
Mhm.
but we're not going to sit here and pinpoint each other's life, because that's not who we are. Because
Right.
we're living our lives, we're doing
Yeah.
what we have to
Right.
do.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So if you're around somebody that's draining you, you're going
Mhm.
to be like, hey, look, I need to put a stop to this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter who they are. You have to put a stop to.
And
So
negative
it goes back to, we are
right.
our own worst enemy.
And negative people who constantly talk about the negative, they are draining, and I had to cut people like that off. I
Yeah.
walk away from
Mhm.
them and just said, "No, I don't have time for that because it's very draining on my energy being an empath. I don't wanna listen to somebody constantly complaining about every
Yeah.
little stupid thing that
Right.
happens in everyday life
Exactly.
that they don't realize it happens to everybody. Why do you think you're so special that you have a right
Right.
to and complain to everyone who's in earshot?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
just, it's like, no, that's really rude and really not,
Yeah.
it's not good for anybody's energy. Those kind of people, everybody should walk away from them so they stop
Yeah.
doing a bad habit on their part.
Yeah.
It really,
I always tell everybody, don't blame life, blame the way you live it. So if
yeah,
you live it
there you
in a
go.
bad way, it's your problem, it's your fault.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you married somebody that's a narcissist, then
Mhm.
that's your fault. If
Yeah.
you had, I find that in the psychic world, and readings, a lot of people say, um, what, how do I get rid of a narcissist, or I had a baby with somebody and I wish I
Mhm.
didn't, but I
Yeah.
love my children. Okay, so you just said the right thing.
Mhm.
You can pick and choose who you deal with, but
Yeah.
just love your child, even though you had it with somebody that you didn't want to. It was a mistake. We're all human beings, we're not perfect.
Right. And there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. If you want to get out
Right.
of a
Yeah.
situation, you can get out of a situation. You just put your foot down, say no, and then
Yeah.
you figure out the steps to take to get away from that
Yeah.
situation. And then once you do, then you're fine. You can go about living your life. And people need to understand that you need to keep your nose out of other people's business because you
Absolutely.
have no business in there.
Yeah.
So if how other people are living their life and doing their thing is none of
Mhm.
your business. Keep your,
Right.
your own thought should be on your own life. Mow
Yeah.
your own grass before you go try and mow your neighbors.
Exactly. And
You know what I mean?
I've tried to drill that in a lot of people's brains. I did it with my sister,
Mhm.
and she got a divorce, and I did it with a lot of people. And a lot of people say, "Hey, Mark, this person now," and I do it too sometimes when I get mad. We talk about somebody, or we just
Mhm.
say this and that and whatever. But I
Yeah.
say it as an example, so
Mhm.
that that if you're in the same situation, it's okay to feel that way, but don't keep dwelling on it, because you're gonna allow yourself to be, in a state of mind where you're gonna be always worried about the negative.
Mhm.
And you have to think the best for you all the time. You have to put yourself first. And I always tell people,
Absolutely.
and I have it in one of my cards that I made.
Mhm.
One of the cards that I have is one of my favorite sayings: is forgive yourself for dealing with them.
Yeah.
So
That's
if
good.
you forgive yourself, you don't have to forgive anyone.
Mhm.
That to me, forgiving someone for disrespecting you and doing bad things to you, that's dumb, because
Yeah.
you're forgiving bad energy. You're forgiving a
Yeah.
person that is going to do the same shit to you over and over, and
You know
someone
what,
else.
Mark? You're 100% on that because I feel that way too.
Yeah.
Self-forgiveness, and I've told a lot of people
Yeah.
this. Some people are just
Yeah.
have no idea what you're talking about, but you got to forgive
Right.
yourself for your part in it and for whatever you did to deal with this person or it being involved with them in the first place.
Yeah.
Forgive yourself for that, and
Yeah.
then you are free to walk away. They don't
Yeah.
need your forgiveness. They don't care
No,
about if they're
they don't care.
disrespecting you. They don't care about your
They're
forgiveness.
not genuinely gonna accept it anyway, and you're not genuinely saying it because
Mhm.
you know how that person is. You
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
you're just taught to do that.
Mhm.
but but that's just another label, in my opinion, for a lot of people. And I that's what's made me personally a stronger person, because I actually believe that if I forgive myself for all the mistakes I've made and ask God for his forgiveness,
Yeah,
that's the only
exactly.
person that I need to deal with.
That's
So
right.
if I do that, I'm clear. I have a clear slate
Yeah,
to
you're
start
right.
all over again. So now that I've started all over again, I say, you know what, Mark? You don't have to forgive yourself anymore,
Right.
because you don't have no idiots in your life.
Yeah.
You have no negative idiots. And if you do, you are who you hang around. So if you hang
Mhm.
around them, it's your fault.
Yeah,
If
that's
you, if,
you
if
have
you,
you
yeah,
You have the right as a sovereign human being to make the choices for your life. Nobody can force
Exactly.
you to hang out with anybody, whether it's your
Yeah.
family member, your friend, or
Hmm.
anybody you're dating or whatever. You can always walk away because
Yeah.
you are a sovereign
Absolutely.
person. You are
Yeah.
your own self. I
Even
just noticed
even
that Marley's in the chat. I just want to say, hey,
yes.
shout out to Marley.
Yeah, she's a fangirl. She
Yeah,
said she'll definitely be here.
Uh, she's a
Yeah,
sweet
shout out
guy.
to Marley.
I like Marley
Yes.
a lot. She's really sweet.
Yeah.
And uh, Aquarius.
Another thing with choices about our lives is the job we have. A lot of people say, "Well, I hate my job." Hey, Brenda, how you doing? The
Mhm.
um the
Hi,
job we
Brenda.
have is not the right job.
Right.
I don't feel like doing this, or I want something else. Or
Mhm.
and my dad always said to me, Mark, no matter what job you have, you're always gonna find an asshole at your job. There's always gonna be that one person
That's
that
true.
aggravates you.
True. That
And I
is
said, "Well, what if I work for myself?" He goes, "Well, then you're the only asshole you have to deal with, or you're going to deal with a client that's
mhm.
an idiot, and you're going to have to move on from that."
Very
So when I went on my own and started my own business 16 years ago, I I I I chose who I worked for. I chose not to work for you. I chose not to. It was I gave myself my own power.
mhm.
So when you're self-employed and you're a business owner, or you're
Yeah.
a whatever, even when you're an employee, you can
Mhm.
choose to go to another job.
Exactly. There's
Nothing's going to
again,
be perfect,
we have the choices. We just sometimes don't want to make them. It's
right?
easy to do this,
So
but it's
when
easier
people,
in the
yeah,
long run.
right. So when people play the victim, or they tell me, "Oh, Mark, I can't," I won't, or how am I going to do this? You just got to do it.
Mhm.
What is
Yeah.
so hard about changing your life? You're not going to die.
You have to
Just
find
like, yeah,
strength inside of you in order to push forward
yeah,
and something.
right.
Now, on that note, what you said about in the workplace and everything, there's an asshole around every corner in workplaces and stuff like that. I got some valuable information and advice from the my uncle who I worked when I was really really young. I worked in
Mhm.
home improvements, and so I was a door to door canvasser and so forth. And I went to this one door, and this person just reamed me out like total asshole and screamed and yelled at me. And I went back to the car, and I was like, I don't want to do this job anymore. I'm done. And so he said, listen, I'm going to give you a valuable piece of advice right here and there. Now, don't ever let anyone in their stupid mood stop you from making a living. This is a valuable piece of life advice going forward in your life. You need to understand this. There's
Mhm.
going to be buttholes in every job.
Yeah,
There's going to be people
it's
like
true.
that.
Yeah.
Are you going to let them stop you from making a living? You
Mhm.
can't. You have to
Yeah.
take water off a duck's back. These people just
Mhm.
go to the next customer and just keep moving,
Yeah.
keep going
Yeah.
because otherwise you're going to be in trouble because every single job has these kind of people in it. So yeah,
Absolutely.
what you said is absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and
And
I
I try, yeah,
that
I try to drill that in everybody's brain, because some people
Mhm,
come to me and be like, "Well, what should I do?" Or like, I need another job. Well, then go
mhm,
find one. You
yeah,
know, I
mhm,
I I don't. I'm the person who I am today because I wanted to learn as much as I
mhm,
can.
yeah,
So when I dropped out of school at 17, I said, "Well, what the hell am I gonna do?" Because everybody says that if I don't graduate and go to college, I'm gonna be a piece of shit. I'm not
yeah,
gonna be nobody in the world. So I was like, "Well, how can I prove that conspiracy theory wrong?" Right?
yeah,
So Mark was like, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go to work. I don't care what these. While you're in college, I'm gonna go make some damn money."
mhm,
Because I hated school. I didn't want to be around the corrupted teachers and people,
yeah.
and I just couldn't be around all those idiots.
They're spreading
So
conspiracy
yeah,
theories and propaganda.
exactly.
Bad, bad.
Right. So when I got 17, my brain was telling me, yeah, Mark, it's time for you to go, bro. You don't need to graduate. You're smart. You can make it happen. So
Exactly.
I went to a gas station, and I started pumping gas and washing windows for a living.
There
And
you
I
go.
did that for a year, and the owner said, "Hey, look, do you like working on? I see you working on bikes and stuff. And would you like to be my apprentice mechanic?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
Mhm,
Beats better than dealing with pumping gas,
yeah.
and washing windows for like a couple bucks. So he took me on as his apprentice, and I said to myself, "Wow."
Mhm.
So while my friends are in college, I'm
Mhm.
here already getting taught, like, like, hands-on college type of
Mhm.
thing. I'm getting free college over here and free, information. So
Mhm.
I said, well, I'm going to take advantage of this. So I ended up becoming a car mechanic and doing it for several years. And then
Mhm.
the owner had a stroke, and then he ended up selling the business. So a
Yeah.
guy came into the gas station and was like, yeah, I heard, all that stuff happened. I'm looking for guys to do construction. So I was like, how much you charge? How much you paying? He goes, yeah, I'll pay you this. I'm like, well, that's more than what I'm making. When do I start? So then I started doing construction.
Mhm.
And then I met a guy, a Portuguese guy, and he was an electrician.
Mhm.
Then I started to do electrical because I really like to do electrical.
Mhm.
So then I ended up becoming an electrician for 25 years and started my own business.
Exactly. See, there's a lot of people who everybody said, back in the day, college, in their defense, they didn't know, parents didn't know
Yeah,
how broken down the system really was, the
right.
education system and everything. So they did push their kids into it and so forth. But there are a lot of people, and this has gone throughout history, not just something that is recent, but a lot of people ended up the biggest millionaires never
Exactly.
went to college. A lot
Nope.
of them didn't even finish school. You know what I
Right.
mean? These entrepreneurs and stuff, the
Hmm.
majority of people who come into their own
Yeah.
and make a lot of money, those people never went
Never.
to
Yeah.
school. And the
Hmm.
ones who did go to school, they're stuck in careers where they're limited to how much they can make. They have to keep upgrading,
Yep.
and they're stuck with tons of student loans
Yeah. And
that
another
they
thing,
have a lifetime paying back.
but what the saddest part of it all is when they tell you you're overqualified.
And yeah, there's that too, right?
When I heard that for the first time, I was like, "You're joking, right? You're like joking, really? How
Mhm,
could you be overqualified? Don't you want somebody that's overqualified to
mhm,
work for you?" Last I checked, I want somebody smart on my team
mhm.
and running my business.
Exactly.
So like I don't it that's another conspiracy theory, is whether or
Exactly.
not, but see, everybody has their own thing. Like, if you sometimes you have to go to college to be like a doctor
Well,
or
yeah, if there's
a
certain
lawyer,
that
unless you
you
have
have
a
a
mother and a father that teaches you that.
absolutely,
Now
absolutely,
that's
I agree
different.
with that. If there's
Yeah,
certain professions that you are really genuinely interested in and you wanna learn more about that, absolutely, absolutely go for it. But it
yeah,
should be your choice. It not should not be because you wanna be part of this system, because that's a terrible system to get involved in. Unless
yeah,
you're passionate about that career, you shouldn't be pursuing that because you're
yeah,
gonna end up in a lifetime of debt. You're
yeah,
gonna become a debt
exactly.
slave
Yeah,
throughout that system. That system is
right,
badly broken, and people
exactly.
didn't understand that back in the day. Parents pushed their kids into doing things because the father and mother were doctors and lawyers. They wanted their kids to follow suit, and their kids
Yeah,
didn't necessarily want to do that, but they did
nope.
it because that's
Yeah,
what the family did. And it
hmm,
ended in disaster all the time. And again, if you're in it because you think you're going to make a ton of money, I'm
yeah,
sorry, but your education is not going to get you there. You
no,
have, if you noticed on YouTube, Mark, there's a lot of doctors and lawyers who actually started YouTube channels,
yeah, and teach
and
you
they
what to do.
make
Yeah,
more money
yeah.
doing that
I
because,
watch a lot of them. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Isn't that bizarre?
During COVID, I watched a lot of them because you couldn't go to their office, so
Yeah,
they came on and taught
exactly.
you how to live with COVID. And
Are
I
you kidding?
watched a lot of those videos.
These educated people are their minds are blown when they realize that YouTubers make more money than they do.
Yeah,
They're like, "What? I can make more money on YouTube than I can in my practice? What?"
exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So it's
Hmm.
there's that, and then there's a lot of information out there that basically a lot of these education programs and stuff like that, anybody can learn them now.
Yeah,
Psychology and everything,
there's
anyone can.
online. Yeah,
You
you can do it
don't
online.
for
Yeah,
that anymore,
yeah. You
right?
don't even have to go to college. You can do it all online. All your
Exactly.
courses online, all your
You
tests
can do
online.
free courses, you can
Yeah,
learn these topics and these. subject matters. You don't have to have
Hmm.
a plaque on your wall anymore for
Yeah,
things like that. And the
yeah.
majority of people who are listening to people online who have gone through things, who are not, educated therapists, but they've gone through something, people are more apt to listen to them than they are to listen to the people who went to school. Because the
Yeah.
people who went to school never experienced it. So
No.
these people who come out and talk about these things, who actually
Hmm.
lived it, life experience is golden. It's worth
Yo,
way
absolutely.
to the average person
That's
than
yeah,
someone who studied clinical trials for,
yeah,
3 years.
yeah.
It's crazy,
There's no way I could have learned what I learned in college and succeeded,
right?
because I would have been held back by trying to learn from a bunch of
Mhm.
idiots that didn't want me to learn too much. Whereas,
Exactly.
when I learned from one of the best electricians on the island, and he was not
Right.
from here, he
Mhm.
taught me everything with no like because he didn't go to college either. He learned from his uncles and his
Yeah,
father.
exactly,
So
right?
like, because there was no college to
Yeah,
go to. Like, if you ain't got no money for that shit, then you ain't going. So
exactly.
when I told my parents in 2007 that I
Mhm.
was gonna go on my own, because I know, and they knew the guy that I was doing electrical with and knew that he was very good, but they didn't believe that I would make it like him.
Right.
See? So, and I said, well, I'm gonna make it. And my parents are like, you're gonna make a mistake going on your own. It's very hard. It's a recession right now in
Mhm.
2007. And I was like, I don't give a shit about no recession. I said, do you think rich people go through a recession? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
And I'm gonna prove it to you. So I have multi-million dollar clients,
yeah.
right? That are my friends, and
Mhm.
they gave me a lot of work, and they
Yeah,
still give me work till today, 16 years in
exactly.
a row. I've lived off of rich people like everybody else does.
Exactly,
You
right?
know
And
what is so hard for that to understand? you
And
know
when it comes to today's world, knowing a trade is way more valuable going
yeah,
forward in the world
absolutely.
we're living in. That's
Yeah.
way more valuable than having a bunch of
Mhm.
degrees that, again, you're going to be
Yeah.
spending a lifetime paying back for those student loans.
Mhm. Yeah.
Also, further proof of you don't need an education. I'll tell you a little story about my youngest uncle, my uncle Bobby. Many years ago, he dropped out of school in grade 5.
Oh wow.
He took off, he jumped on a train and went to
I
Cal
wish.
from California. And he wanted to make it in music, and he wanted to go to Hollywood and make pictures. And he took a train all the way out there, a bus maybe to get across the border. He took a train all the way to California and started to live his life at age, what, like 13, 14.
Mhm.
He just took off. But, back in the day, you did things like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah, it was
So
easier.
he comes back to Canada and he decides at age, I think about 18, 19, he's going to start his own business. So he starts working out of his basement and he turned that little company, it was called United Railway Supplies. He turned that little company into a multi-million dollar company. He had a
Right.
massive warehouse, he had a huge
Mhm.
office, he had a whole bunch of employees. He traveled all over the
Yeah.
world.
Right.
And there you go, a grade 5 well, he didn't even finish grade 5.
Yeah. And that happens to a lot of people because that's their path, and that's who they want to be. And
Mhm,
that's what I keep referring to is
mhm.
we are who we really want to be. So
Yeah,
if you want to go to college, I'm not going to knock you. You
mhm,
want to go.
mhm.
Because my oldest nephew, he's going 22 in July, and he's graduating from college. He's been out there for 3 years in
Okay,
Canada,
yeah.
and he wants to be in an office because he said, Uncle Mark, I don't want to be like you out in the damn sun doing construction and busting my
Mm.
ass and cutting grass. I'm not doing that. I want to be in an office in the AC. It's too damn hot to be out there. But I respect you, Uncle Mark, whatever.
Exactly.
And
Everyone
I,
has
I never
their own.
say to him, hey, you're wasting your damn time. You're going to be
No,
in front of a computer. You're an idiot. I say, hey, go for it. That's what you want, bro. Hey,
exactly.
I totally support
Well,
you.
no, I totally agree with you here, Mark,
Yeah,
because people need to make their own choices. That's the whole
yeah,
point. College is
hmm,
available if you want to,
yeah,
if you're
absolutely.
passionate about something and you want to. I'm just saying don't fall into the system
Yeah,
just
exactly.
because the system
Yeah.
is broken. So
Yeah.
don't do it just because you think that's the only way. If
Hmm.
you have a calling to do something else, go and do it. You
Yeah.
are a sovereign
Yeah.
individual and you can make your own choices, and don't let anybody stand in your way. All you have
Yeah.
to do is have that will and that
Yeah.
strength inside of you and push forward, and just do not take no for an answer. If you want to do
Mhm.
something, no matter how bizarre or how weird it is, you
Yeah.
go and you do it as long
Yeah.
as you're not hurting
Exactly.
anybody.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And as long as you're not abusing it,
Yes,
because you can be
exactly.
very good and abuse your power. And that's
Absolutely.
that's the main thing about that's why God gives you talents,
Mhm.
and you either use them and abuse them, or you use
Exactly.
them and you do good with them. So
Right.
we all have, I believe that every single person in this world has multiple talents. There's not just
Mhm.
something you're good at. There's multiple things you're good at, but you choose not to do those things,
Yeah,
or you choose to do those things.
exactly. And you
So
know
it's
what? I
yeah.
feel that every career, basically, if you can do one, you can pretty much do anything because
Oh yeah.
it's the same premise that is in
Yeah.
every. Like, look at
Right.
myself. I've had multiple careers throughout my lifetime,
Yeah.
and
Same here. Yeah.
every single thing that I've done has always been the same guideline that I followed, and it's been a
Mhm.
formula for success. And I
Right.
just keep doing it, and I do it in every aspect. Like, I decide to turn around, not be a YouTuber one day. I can turn around and do something else, and I will have the same success I did in this, and the same success I did
Exactly.
running a
Yeah.
company. And it's because it's the same formula over and
Hmm.
over and over again.
Right.
All you have to do is believe in yourself, have an idea, go after that idea, be passionate about it.
Hmm.
You'll attract the right people to you. Just move forward, be
Yeah.
positive. Stay away from the naysayers and the losers, and don't
Hmm.
waste your time on things that don't interest you.
Yeah.
That's
The
really
main the main thing is to feed off the good, positive feedback and energy.
absolutely.
Because when I'm sure when you started your channel and I started mine, and when you start your channel on here,
Mhm.
you're skeptical and you doubt yourself, and you're like, is this gonna work, or are people gonna believe me, or am I gonna like resonate with anybody, or is like, how is this gonna work? Am I gonna be here
Mhm.
5 years from now? Is
Yeah.
this can this be my real life if I want it to be? And a lot of people tell me, Mark, you shouldn't be working hard anymore.
Yeah.
You know, um, you should like be a full-time psychic. Oh,
Mhm.
really, Tony? Tony says, there's 65,000 subs. It's happened.
Yeah, I just see it on
Yay!
several.
Congratulations, you
Wow,
deserve
that's
it.
cool. That's awesome, man.
So, and that's the thing. I went from being a pump. I went from packing groceries at a grocery store at 12 years old
Mhm.
to packing potatoes, bags of ice in a grocery store when I was 12, 13 years old. I didn't come from no rich family or anything like that. My parents worked hard, and it made me want to work
Mhm.
hard and help them too,
Yeah.
and still do till today. So
Mhm.
like you go, I went through a cycle where I did everything under the sun because I'm so curious on and to learn something and be good at it. So everything I did, I tried to do it to the best of my ability. And if I
Yeah.
didn't really feel like I was really good at something, I'll be like, okay, well, that's
Mhm.
not one of my talents. I'll leave that for that person.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
exactly.
go do this now.
Wow, yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
I
exactly
think
how
I
I felt when I first came online. I was like, I'm not no damn medium. I'm not listening to these spirits. This is bullshit. This can't be true. And then when I read for somebody, I'm like, you know what, Mark? You just have to face reality. This is one of your goals. This is one of your
talents.
gifts, your
Yeah,
talents.
exactly.
It's something that you do. You're helping people. Look at these people, how they react to you.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah,
telling you it's true.
Ruth
So how could you not believe it?
Ruth said in the chat a while ago about how you gave her great peace,
Yeah,
when you did the medium
right.
reading for her.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate all the great feedback, and
Well, that's what I'm
and I
saying.
couldn't have done this without anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely wonderful, and I think your formula, like your personality, is kind of like mine. We just go out there and we
Yeah.
just do things. We create a life that we want for ourselves. Same thing with our buddy Ricky. Him as Mike.
Yes.
Uh, he's
My
he's
buddy.
an entrepreneur. This guy has been like blowing my mind ever since I met him because
Yeah.
at age 20 he was already a business partner in a certain
Yeah.
business, and then boom, he started another business, then he started another business. Now he owns all these properties, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He just never stops creating, and he
Right.
attributed Tony and myself and our influence in his life and showing him the way that you can do anything. And he believed
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
himself, and he just went out there and did it. And we are
Mhm.
still congratulating him to this very day. He just
Yeah.
bought an Airbnb now, and we're like, "Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
buddy, keep doing it. Just keep going in that direction. You're
Yeah.
excited, you love what you do, and because you love what you do, you keep getting success with it."
Yeah.
And that's
Absolutely. I
the
agree.
you know?
And that's why I do multiple things, because I'm not going to limit myself to just being one
Right?
thing.
Yeah.
Because if I'm good at a lot of things, I'm going to do all of them, you know. And
Exactly.
if you're humble about it, then God's going to be
100%.
like, okay, they're a smart ass, you know.
I
Don't be
Life
too
is short.
crazy,
I'm
you know.
already thinking about my next career, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I mean,
what am I gonna do next?"
I'll I'll be honest, very honest with a lot of people, and I'll be very honest on here. There's some days where I say to myself, you know what? I should stop working hard and just be like full time on here
Yeah.
and see how it works, you know?
Mhm.
And then I say to myself, well, you know, why not do both? You
Yeah.
know, when things are positive and busy on here, I'll be on here. When things are busy at work, I'll be at work. And
100%.
I don't want to just be stuck to one thing. I want to do both.
No, no, no,
And I,
that's
and
too
I'm and
boring.
and I feel like, you know, I'm 47,
Yeah,
so I feel like I'm still young enough to work hard to a certain extent. And
yeah.
if I don't want to let my clients down, I couldn't imagine going to my clients
Mhm.
and say, "Hey, look, you got to find another electrician, another jack of all trades, because I'm going to be a
Exactly.
medium psychic." And they'll look at me like, "Huh?
What?
Like, let me check
No,
your temperature, bro.
you
Let me. Who are you? Are you on drugs or something?" You know. So I'm like, well, you know what? Some things are best unsaid, and I'm just gonna keep going
absolutely.
how I'm supposed to go. So if I
Right,
want to do that, I'm just
right,
gonna do
right.
whatever I want, you know.
You know,
And I tell,
life
you know,
is way too short to just,
be limited to one
limit
thing.
yourself to one thing. You
Yeah,
got
exactly.
spread yourself out there, get as
Yeah,
many experiences in life in you know what I find too many people just find a niche or find a job, they just stick in that niche or that job,
yeah,
and then they busy themselves with a bunch of crap. Their
yeah.
whole life is filled with other people and their problems and all their other stuff,
Hmm.
and they're so busy running around in circles like little ants, and they
Yeah,
have no time to even put the
mhm,
focus on themselves and go,
yeah,
wow, you know, I've been at this job for 10 years. Do I really like it? I don't know. I don't really care. I'm not
yeah,
even there when I'm there. I'm so busy thinking about my aunt's birthday and my nephew's, school play and this and that, and my daughter's this and my daughter's that, and my
yeah,
sports team and my this. And they have no time to even
yeah,
think about their own lives. Isn't that
yeah.
ridiculous? And
Because they get too comfortable with it. They get comfortable
they
living
get
the same thing over and over and over.
And they distract themselves with the dumbest things.
Dumbest
That
things. Yeah,
really, at the end of the day, who cares if it's enjoyable to watch your favorite sports team. I get it.
yeah,
But do you have to watch every single sports game that ever was? You have to fill
yeah,
all your time with every single concert that ever was? You have
yeah,
to fill your time with everybody else's BS?
yeah.
Really? Like,
Right.
seriously, Mark.
Yeah,
Like,
because
you
they get comfortable with their pathetic lives sometimes, and that's how
And
it
there's
is.
so
You
much
know.
in the brain, and the
Yeah.
things that are in the brain are not focused on themselves. And that's why they look at people like you and me, and how can you do so many multiple things and you're involved with
Mhm.
everything? You have all these
Yeah.
different interests
It's beautiful.
because we don't do that. We
Yeah.
refuse to do that. We
Yeah.
refuse to get distracted by a bunch of silly things that at the end of the day don't do anything. And then these same people wake up and have a midlife crisis. They
Yeah.
look around and go, "My life sucks." You know,
Right. And
when was
it's okay to dwell
it?
on the energy of that for a moment or for a minute or for a day or whatever. But if you
Mhm.
continue to do it, you're gonna get comfortable with being stuck
Right?
in negative. And
Exactly.
that's why I emphasize to a lot of people when I read for them, hey, listen,
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you my advice and I'm going to read for you, but at the end of the day, it's all about what you want.
Right? Yeah.
So you really don't need me. You just you can get your advice and I'll tell you whatever. But when you leave here, just remember that it's all in your hands. You control your own life. So make it happen, you know. I believe you can have your own business. You can do whatever you want. If you want to be a psychic
Exactly.
like me, sure. Hell
Exactly.
yeah. I'm not going to
Yeah.
tell you you can't.
Mhm.
I'm never going to tell somebody they can't do something.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's not for me to tell you. You
Yeah.
know, you tell yourself you can't do
I
something.
think we all know the limits within ourselves, right? Like we
Yeah,
know
oh yeah,
what, and we also know what feels comfortable and what doesn't feel comfortable. Not everybody wants the same thing, and not everybody cares about the same thing. That's fine.
no,
Have multiple things you're interested in. All I ask people is to focus in more on themselves. Don't care so much about what's going on. You know what? Your
yeah,
laundry will get done, and don't worry about what's going on at the school play and if it's this and that. Just take it. You know what? Nothing's wrong
yeah,
in the moment. Take the moment and focus
yeah,
in on yourself. When was
yeah,
the last time you thought about you and are you happy and what you want to do with your life? You
yeah.
should be putting the focus in on you and not care about what your neighbor's doing and how they're conducting their home and their grass
No,
and what they're
I care
wearing.
less about that.
You
Yeah,
don't need to care about those things. You
yeah,
really
right.
need to
But
mind
that's
your
that's
own.
exactly why people are messed up because they
Mhm.
constantly worry about what's not applicable to them.
They're
You know,
focusing outwardly when they should be focusing on
right?
inside.
It's sad, but it's true, and
Yeah.
it's something that we can't change, but we can give advice and stress to these people that
Mhm.
hey, look, you know,
Mhm.
if you do this, you'll be okay. And I think honestly, I believe that a lot of people are changing their lives. You know, I've seen a
Mhm.
lot of people
Yeah,
transform
that's
their
true.
lives this year. The past year and a half, maybe, or this year, I've seen a lot of people actually live up to their New Year's resolutions or,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
whatever they really want to do. Or I've seen a lot of people change their lives, and
and you know where that's coming from?
yeah,
The age of Aquarius, because that
well,
Pluto Aquarius, so people
right,
are kind of forced to make final decisions, and some
yeah.
people painful for them, and other people are okay with it because 'cause they've been wanting change for a long time. So
Another thing that is changing is people
mhm,
getting what they deserve, reaping
yeah,
what they sow, and people getting like if you've been wrong done for like you've been if you've been disrespected by someone for a long period of time, you're gonna see actually live to see their karma,
yeah,
and you don't have to wish for it no more. It's automatically gonna happen because that's the age we're in. That's the time that we're in.
true.
You know, we're in a year where it's number 8, you know, and what goes around comes around, you know,
Yeah,
and
the
we're gonna get it. It's
infinite,
coming, you know, and
exactly.
that's exactly what's happened since the beginning of this year. I've seen a
Yeah,
lot of people get what they deserve
that's
in a
true.
good and bad way, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Both.
And I
Yeah.
think, going forward, we're going to be fine. And I think most of the people that
Oh,
watch our channel, they're our tribe and they're going to be fine. You guys are going to be fine. You know what? I'm going to have to
absolutely.
wrap up this podcast right away, but I just want to tell you, like, I had a great time with this conversation here, Mark. I think
Absolutely. We always do.
we were just on the fly. I mean, yeah, we talked about a little bit about the topic, but we were really, really sort of getting to the heart of matters with
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
I always enjoy my conversations with you, whether it's via podcast or, private. But I really want to thank you for coming on to be a
Sure,
part
no
of
problem.
right
Anytime.
from the beginning, right through to the end. And I know that you're going to be starting. Hey guys, Mark's going to be
Mhm.
starting his own podcast soon, right?
Yeah, I feel like I told you the other day, I feel like my channel is already a podcast because we talk
Yeah,
about
true.
things like this for hours anyway. But
Yeah,
making it official,
yeah,
where I'm gonna set aside
yeah.
Sundays like yourself. So
Mhm.
being at Stars wrapping up hers, you'll always have something to do
Yeah,
on Sundays
yeah,
regardless. So I'm gonna
exactly.
keep it to like this time frame around this time, and I'm gonna come
Yeah,
on and I want you and Tony to be my first guests
okay.
and tell everybody about yourselves, and I'm gonna sit back and listen to you guys.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and I know we'll have another great chat and podcast, and I'm looking forward to bring other people on and just actually just keep an open chat to everybody, so everybody can have a piece of it, so they can just
exactly.
put their 2 cents in, because you never know who's really behind these chats and who's behind these computers. There's a
Hmm.
lot of smart people and
That's a good point.
really good people that can do a lot for you.
Hmm. Look at Miss Bikini just said both of you have been very supportive to my journey, and that's our our desire. Our desired result was to be
Yeah,
part of people's journeys and to be able to help
yeah,
in any way we possibly can, even through these podcasts, having these. open dialogue conversations and saying what we feel, because I'm sure a lot of you in the chat and a lot of you in the audience feel the same way we do as well. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
we want to, we include you in all of this. We're
Absolutely.
inclusive people. We include you in all of this, and we're really grateful for
It's
all of you. In
it's
the
I'm
chat.
grateful to know people like yourself, and I know it's a mutual thing,
Mhm,
because there's not a lot of people that actually will recommend somebody
mhm,
without actually knowing the person, and when
mhm.
you know someone and you recommend them,
Yeah,
and you have an expectation that that person is going to come through for your recommendation.
right.
So when you recommend me like
Mhm.
you did, um,
Yeah, and that
when I
50.
read for you,
Mhm.
I greatly appreciate that, because not so a lot of people do it, but it's only my true friends that don't care about me, helping other people,
Right.
because we all can do what each
Mhm.
other can do, but we all can help that same
Right,
person in different ways. So if
exactly.
we all understand that,
Mhm.
then we'll all be in a better place,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we're all getting, because in my chat room and in yours and in everybody's chat room, there's always somebody in there that can help somebody else, even if they're not
Yeah.
talking and like live. Because I've had people in the chat rooms that help someone, or can find someone a job, or give someone information, or knows or does what they do.
And
And
that
it's
happens.
crazy how God put us all together. It's absolutely nuts
It
when I
absolutely
think
happens.
about it.
And that's what it is. It's networking, right? And that's part of the
Yeah,
Aquarian energy as well,
yes,
networking all with each other. And I'm just really glad that we have the opportunity and the platform to be able to do things like this, and we're able
absolutely. Yeah.
to get to know these wonderful people in the chat,
Mhm.
and they come out for us week after week. So
Yes,
hopefully,
definitely.
well, most of you go to Mark's channel anyway.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know Marky Mark, I left the in the description. I left his a link to his channel, and I believe Ninja put his channel up here too. Yeah, so
I
don't worry about
appreciate that.
to Mark's channel, and you will probably see Tony and I on air on his podcast.
Definitely.
I'll probably be popping on every once, like maybe once a month if I have time over the
Mhm.
summer. I'll pop on here, just do a couple of live podcasts, but it'll probably be not a lot of notice. I hope to be able to do it. I've got a lot of plans this summer. I got a lot really super busy, but I hope to be doing that.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
hopefully we'll be back for the next part of the season in October or September.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And I'm
in
sure
September.
we'll have more things to talk about for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Definitely.
If we can get to that point, and
Yeah, of course.
we're all still here and YouTube's still here,
Yeah,
no
we
problem.
will. We will be. Yeah. The world needs us now.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Mark.
That's how you have to think about it. The world needs more positivity,
Right?
and
And
that's why we're all here, to make
exactly. And
sure.
we are networking with each other. So you guys are included in all of this. So your part is important, and reach out to any of us anytime. If you need help, we reach out to each other. We can definitely do what we can to help any of you who mentioned that you need, like Miss Bikini, when you said you had lost your husband and you needed somebody to talk to about that. Well, I sent you to Mark because I knew
Mhm.
Mark was going to be the one to be able to do that for you. The same thing with anybody else. If Mark comes
Mhm.
across somebody, hey, maybe Star can help you. This is how we network.
Absolutely.
This is how we work,
Mhm.
and you guys work with each other, and you help each other, and you talk in this chat together, and that means a lot. It goes a
Mhm.
long way. For
Even
like
though, if readings don't help you and you don't want it, sometimes just talking is the healing
exactly,
that you need.
just talking about it
And
can
I
be
tell people that all the time, that even if you can't afford a reading, or you don't want one, or you're skeptical,
hmm
just come in the chat room and
yeah,
talk with us and laugh with us and have a great
exactly.
time. That's all you need, because at the end of the day, that's what people want, just to be a part of
Right.
something.
And look at how wonderful you are with each other in the chat. You're all talking to each other and encouraging each other, giving each other condolences when something's wrong. This is a
Absolutely.
support system.
Yeah, absolutely. We both have great supporters, and we
Mhm.
all stay, and to see them all support both of us,
Yeah.
it's even more of a blessing, because I know that we're all together,
Mhm.
trying to make things better. and that's the main thing, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note, Mark, I guess I should let you go get over to your own channel and
Yes,
do
I'm gonna go
work.
live in a few minutes. I'm just gonna take my dog for her little nightly walk and get
Yeah.
some fresh air, and I'll
Mhm.
be back. I'll be live in probably like 20 minutes or so.
Ah, nice. Well, thanks again, my friend, for coming on, and we'll
Absolutely,
talk
man.
to you
Always a
again.
pleasure. And
Take
I'm looking forward to having my podcast and having you and Tony
Yes.
on for sure. That'll be
we
fun.
we will see you then.
As long as Tony behaves, then we'll be okay. Because
Well,
he's
I
a
don't know.
different.
He does have that alien blood. You just never know what
Yes,
he's gonna
he
do.
took the words right out of my mouth, and then But we're gonna talk about like a lot of Portuguese dishes and things. We're gonna
And
compare our
music.
food, Tony.
And music.
Yeah, and music. We're gonna talk about more food stuff.
Yeah.
All
For sure. Okay,
right,
Mark,
take care.
X yourself out there,
I
and
will.
see you soon, okay?
All
Take
right,
care.
take care, everybody. Thank you so much for coming by.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed tonight's podcast. I know I certainly did. And I just want to take a moment here to thank all of you for all of your congratulations. Yes, 65K. This is awesome. Another milestone for the Star Lordess channel. Thank you all so much. Love you all. And I hope you have a fantastic summer for those of you who are living in the part of the world that does have summer. Just go and enjoy your summer. Have a good time. We'll pop back on, like I said. I'll do a couple of lives here and there whenever I can get to it. But in the meantime, you always have Mark. You can go over there. He goes live quite a bit. So go over there, hang out. Most of you are on Mark's podcast, or sorry, live. And yeah, that'll be cool doing his podcast. So I want to say farewell for the season closer of the Star Lordess podcast. Thank you all for coming here and making these last 17 episodes really, really meaningful. I love all you, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time. So I guess Star Lordess, I know I don't want to say goodbye, but I got to say goodbye to you guys. And also, again, thank you very much to my mods. I haven't seen Raina in a while, but thank you very much, Raina, if you're watching this. Thank you to I'm Hungry Now, and thank you to Miss Ninja. I have the best podcast mods in the world. Okay, bye. I like how Miss Ninja goes, bye. Okay, bye, Truth Seeker. Bye, Ninja. Bye, Nina. Bye, all of you. Take care. Mwah. Have a wonderful summer. Star Lordess signing off for now. Oh, one more thing I want to mention, and that's that the May bonus readings will be out tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that as well. Okay, bye bye, guys.